Hello everyone, welcome, welcome, welcome. It's another Saturday and you've reached the early show. Now let me go turn some lights on. One sec, let me go back to the music. Okay, that's better. Lights are on, camera action. You were just listening to, if you're wondering, sometimes I play music at the start of the show. This one was called Background, and it's a track off my album Link. Yeah, it was just like, when I made it, I kind of felt like it was just like background music and you could sort of just play it in the background. And I've had some people tell me that they had jammed to it and all sorts of stuff. So it's an interesting track, that one. It's kind of, it breaks the rules, and I like to break rules. I like to break, I break rules on my show. I break rules in music as well. Nice to have you all. We've got a really, really interesting show coming up today, tonight, this morning, wherever you are. Really nice to see a full gambit of people already on the early show. The early show, which I would have thought would have just been complete crap, managed to get some of you guys to join us, which is really nice, actually. So we've got a couple of channel members already joined in, like Keith and Watford and Future World Machines. Good to see you guys. And a lot of regular people as well, like Sasquatch, I think, gets the Guernsey this week. Wagoo came in second. Leia from Perth, good on you. Nice to have someone local. Bert's there, as your head. And who else? Got Stephen Frey, good to have you. And we also have Martin Taylor. Good to have you, Martin. Always nice to see you. Robbie's early in, good to see Robbie, failed muso. Gert's there, good to see Gert. Who else? ICJ. Don't know if I've had ICJ before. Big hello to you if you're new. Tell us a little bit about where you're from in the chat. Good to see Lisa in there, Inky the cat. Nice to have, Lisa's one of our originals. Roy's there, big hello to Roy. And who else we got? Neil. Hello Neil Wharton. Good afternoon. So he's in the afternoon area. So I'm guessing he would be in either UK or maybe Europe, somewhere like that. It's another warm day here in Perth. It's probably, well, I'm sort of perspiring here. It's probably in the late 20s. I've got, instead of having the fan on, I'm gonna push it out without. I'm just gonna sweat. Because last week, I just think the fan was annoying people. So the fan's not there. I've actually kept it out of the room, so I can't turn it on. And I'll just have to keep wiping the sweat off my face. We're going to be talking this week, this show, about hearing challenges. Now, that's not going to happen just yet because the guests have to arrive, and I can't talk about that myself because I don't have hearing, well, I don't have, other than old man problems, I don't have hearing challenges myself, but I definitely want to support those people in the community that have got hearing challenges, and this platform, this show, is a great platform to get the word out there. And so we'll definitely be chatting about that soon. So hang in there if you've just arrived and you just want to do that. Why not sit back and enjoy the early show? The early show, if you're wondering, we noodle about on the early show. We'd kind of talk about stuff. We try things out. I've got a new module to show you guys. So. And I've got a few other little things to talk about. So we do have quite a bit to get through in the early show. And I also want to mention too that the early show is really just about us as synth heads, as geeks, playing around in our studios, and you can give it's like two-way. If you guys want me to try something out, let me know. Sometimes I can't do it on the show straight away, but I can do it the following week or the week after. Definitely put your requests in. Okay, so let's get some housekeeping out of the way. First things first, I think we're going to get this link up down the bottom here. If you do like to sort of keep chatting about stuff that we talk about during the show, Discord's a great way to do it. We've got a Discord server. The Discord server is pretty popular. It's got a lot of people in there, and the conversations flow all through the week. We've got lots of little sections in the server, so it's free. There's no, you don't have to pay. It's just go in, be yourself, let your hair down, have some fun. There's the Discord server address. If you haven't ever used Discord before and you think, not another app, just try it out. It's free, it doesn't cost you anything. It's one of these things that aren't, I think it's a non-polluted area of social media that it's still fairly nice to play around with. So check out Discord. I do push it every week. It's because it's free. I want you guys to get onto the free stuff. So that's Discord. I do need to talk about, oops, let me just close that window. Where's the other one? I need to talk about channel memberships. Okay, so we talked about channel memberships last week. We're talking about it again. It's a new thing, so I'm going to kind of keep talking about it. For those who have heard about it before, just pause your ears for a second or so. Basically on YouTube, we've got channel membership. What's the benefit? You can see in the chat, there are people who have got, you can't see it just there, but like for example, Future World Machines is in there. Actually, Future World Machines has got a different colored logo this week. If you look at his logo, if you wanted to put something in the chat, Future World Machines, and then Keith and Watford, you could put something in as well, you'll see they've both got different colored super badges next to them. And the reason for it is Future World Machines has been a channel member now for over a month. So he gets the next color up. See, look at that. See, look at that. He's got his color and then he's got his super badge. And if Keith and Watford says something, you'll see he's got a different colored badge. So that's all. What is channel membership? Channel membership gives you guys a little bit of a little bit of benefits inside the chat. Plus also there is, what else is there? There is Steve Power, you become a member of Patreon. So we do have to sort that out in a sec. There you go. Keith and Watford, you can see his little badge is green and Future World Machines has got a different color. So he's turquoise, because he's been around for a bit longer. Anyway, so you guys, those two channel members there, you guys can show them some of the cool emoticons that you got access to now. So you've got throw your synth at the screen and synth board and all sorts of stuff that are in there now. I've got to add some more. There's also posts that I chuck up during the week. Now you guys, I don't know if you've been watching them or not, looking at them in the community section of the YouTube channel. There's posts I've been putting up and I've been sharing stuff on there. So you get access to that. Patreons get the same thing. So if you're a Patreon fan, go to Patreon. If you're a YouTube fan, go to YouTube. Anyway, it doesn't really matter either way. You're still going to get benefits that way. So that's memberships. That's memberships. Okay, now what I want to show you guys is this new module that I've got. Now, I always like to disclose when I get given things. I don't very often get given things. So, and it's actually a really nice thing to get given things. I don't have any commercial arrangement in this particular case, but I have been given this module, so I didn't pay for it. And I've also thanked the person that gave it to me. And basically, we're going to head over just here, boom, to have a look at it. It's from a company from Bucharest in Romania called Feedback Modules. And this is the 1-bit multi-tap delay. Now doesn't this thing look beautiful? I don't even really know if the camera gives it justice, but I just love the black and the white and the gold. All underneath all of these potentiometers here is it's like a gold, shiny gold color. It actually looks beautiful. That camera angle doesn't really give it justice, but you have to trust me. Now, what is this module? This is a bucket brigade delay. Like if you've ever wanted to literally, I want to have a module that I can control the absolute pants out of, oops, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I want to have a module where I can control the absolute pants out of a bucket brigade delay. This is probably one of them, and I would say probably the one. One of the things I've only just had this for a couple of days. One of the things I love about it is it's single entry in, and you've got 3 outputs on it. You've got 2 feedback channels, tap 1 and tap 2, and then you've also got the mix of tap 1 and tap 2 if you want. Now, what's the benefit about that is the 2 feedback channels you can feed into a mixer with left and right. So now you can do stereo bucket brigade delays, and you can separate your taps here. I'll just turn me off so you don't need to see me anymore. You can just separate them by time divisions here. So you can see I've got one set to 1 and one set to 4. And yeah, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff. We're going to go through it, but what I thought we'd do first is let's have a little noodle with it, and you'll get an idea about how it sounds, because I think that's the best way to start, and then we can talk about the features and stuff in a sec. So mute me, and we'll hit play on the sequencer, and we'll see what we can come up with. That wasn't what I wanted. That was the wrong one. Let's try again. Just give me a sec, I'm just getting audio sorted. I don't know why I'm not hearing any audio. Let's see if we can get audio from here. Okay, let's get this time happening here. Like a flanger there. Let's turn the kick off for a sec. This is the feedback. And we can also freeze this stuff too. So you've got from like very, very high flangey sort of times to Alright, so one of the things I want to kind of tell you guys about is just getting to know this module. There's a couple of little things that I kind of want to sort of show you. So across here you'll probably see all these switches. So basically there's two lots of controls for the two taps. So if you can imagine, you know, tap 1 and tap 2. These don't have to be left and right. You could put these into different effects. You could pipe them through something else. But you've got like an EQ setting here, soft and hard. Now let me just get my little PDF up because I can actually tell you exactly what is meant by soft and hard. And we could do lots of jokes about soft and hard if you want to. But basically there's an equalizer in the feedback path with the soft and hard. So soft gives you a high frequencies a cut at a moderate level, and harder high frequencies a cut at a more drastic level. So let's try do hard. We'll do it on both. We'll go back to here. And I'll turn the dry off, so we're just hearing the taps. It's very subtle. You can hear it click in. I find it very, very subtle. Very subtle indeed. Okay, so the other thing that it does is it also has this inverter as well. So normal and invert switches, you get two of them, one for each tap. They, what they do is they invert the waveform in the feedback path. So basically, when you actually play with these feedbacks, it'll invert the waveform. So let's have a play. What we'll do is we'll have feedback tap 1 is set to a 1 time division, and feedback tap 2 is set to a 4 time division, so it's 4 times the feedback of 1. Okay, let's play with inverting. Well, what we'll do is we'll invert number 2, which is the longer time division. You should be able to hear it change as I click from normal to invert. Here we go. That's normal. Now listen. Very subtle things, but they will make a difference to us. Okay, what else can we do with this? There's a whole bunch of modulation over here that you can set as off, internal or external. So it's got an inbuilt internal LFO where you can set the depth and the rate. It's got external modulation, which you could bring in yourself. What does that do? I haven't actually worked that out yet. So that's something that we'll check out in a sec. Let's go to what you guys are actually asking me. Because I'm sure this has actually got a lot of people interested. I actually think this is a very interesting module. Has anyone seen anything like this? That's the question. What is like this out there in the big wide world? I'm not sure. I don't know everything about everything. It'd be nice to. But what do you guys think? What's out there in the big wide world that's like this? Where you've got that sort of level of control over a bucket brigade delay. Kent has arrived. Hello, Kent. Good to see Kent. I was hanging out with Kent the other day. Good show. Had some fun. Got told off. No, it was all good. Do not worry. And I'm just kidding about. So nothing I've ever come across says Kent. Yeah. I've always wanted to have. I'll just keep an eye on what you guys are saying in chat, but I'll go back to the photo or the video of it. I've always wanted to have lots and lots and lots of more control over those bucket brigade delays. And, you know, I'm using this as a stereo kind of tap delay type thing at the moment, but you don't have to. Like I said before, you can just have the mix come out, which is the bottom output here. You can just have that come out of that. And then you could pipe that back in through other effects. So you could have your tap delay, and then I could literally, what could I do? What we could do is I should show you guys, this is actually really cool. During the week, I got this Google search happening for myself, and I was trying to work out, what can I use to control this camera here? And I wanted like a joystick, right? And then I came across this this thing where you can actually control it with an Xbox controller. And it's so funny. I literally can control this camera with an Xbox controller. So let's do it. I'm gonna go back to the camera and I'll put me in the corner and I'll hold the Xbox controller up like this. So we can move this camera now with an Xbox controller. This is crazy. But actually, it's actually really cool because I don't have to keep mucking around with saving memories and things on it. All right, so down here in this corner here is my quad patching matrix extraordinaire. Love this little thing. This is great. I think they should make this publicly available module. Anyway, there is the 4MS one you can get. What we could do is we could not unplug, we could plug. If I just go a little bit to the left, you can see the mix in the bottom corner there. There's the mix output. Why don't we put that in to one of these here, and that will then give us, if we take that yellow one out, I think that will give us what we want to do. Which one is yellow? Is that 2? Yeah, let's take yellow out. So we're not using yellow at the moment. And we'll plug a cable in. What we'll do, what I want to do is I just want to show you guys what it does when you are, sorry about whacking the mic here. I want to show you guys what it does when you kind of bring that in and then you bring it in through another effects. So probably shouldn't be using tendrils on this actually. Sorry, I'm not going to use a tendril. I'm going to use a normal cable because I need to go up vertically. Okay, let's go back to, now that we've got that in, I can now control that mix through number 2 here, and you have my hands in the way, but you have to trust me. Let's go back to here, and if I then turn down the 2 stereo channels, which I've got these 2 coming out on, you won't hear the stereo channel now, you'll just hear the main mix. Let's try it. You won't hear anything because, I don't know why. I'm not hearing anything. Oh, because it'll turn it on. There we go. Now, right now there is, I'll just turn all the effects off. So you can hear the tap delay. Now I can then bring that into my mixer effects. Now you hear the magneto coming in. So I've got delay going into delay. And then we can muck around with this. Change the sequency arpeggiator thing a bit. All right, now what else we could do is take it off the magneto and put it through reverb. Anyway, that is just an idea. I'm going to take it out. And then I'm going to bring these back in. Oh, let's try something different through it. Let's try, what can we try through it that's different? Why don't we try like a similar guitar artist? Let's bring some other sounds in. Anyway, a bit of craziness and a bit of craziness. Let's go to here. Let's take me off. Ooh, a bit of craziness. Yeah, so lots and lots and lots and lots of things we can do there. And I haven't even finished reading this manual. The CV stuff, I haven't even tried it yet. You've got 2 CV inputs plus an external mod input. There's also a loop control. Just show you that. So pointy stick time. Get out the pointing stick. So you've got your 2 CV controls there of your feedback, and then they've got their own attenuators. One on that side and one on that side. Then you've also got external mod control, and you've also got like a loop trigger as well. So quite a lot of CV control on that. So I reckon give me a little couple of weeks and I reckon I could come up with some interesting things, putting square wave LFOs and all sorts of stuff in there, different types of looping maths envelopes. There's a maths, make noise maths up on the same rack actually, a little bit further up. That'd be interesting actually, a re-triggering envelope into that. See what that does. Anyway, you can also, so it's got the dry output, plus it's got the mix output, plus you've also got independent tap level outputs of tap 1 and tap 2. When you think about it, there's so much, you could actually, it's a basic mixing module as well. You could use this for so many different things. And I'm just kind of thinking more about playing with that loop part, like getting some sort of loop to work. So let's, if I just bring, say, the Bassimilus in there. That's just fun, just doing that, just mucking around with loops. So definitely like that as well. Okay, back to you guys. Back to the chatties. Okay, let me have a little look, see what you've been saying. I love stereo modules. Stereo modules, there's going to be one stereo module we're going to be talking about in the news today. Oh my God, the news. There's actually 13 different news items today. You're going to need to make sure you get yourself something like snacks when we're going through the news section. There's so much news today. I think I'm going to have to refill my water. Sound can be a bit louder compared to your voice. It could be. And a lot of this stuff, it depends on the signal going in and the signal going out. So yeah, so if I wanted to make stuff louder, I could. Maybe my voice is a bit loud. Why don't we take my voice down a little bit? My voice is where? It's here. I'm on 30. Why don't we come down to 26? Okay, I've knocked myself down a little bit. Tell me if that's not too bad. I can make this louder. Really pump this up if you want. Get that feedback happening. Oh, this is so much fun. Oh my God. You want me to try the external mod in? Okay. I don't know how to use that yet, but we can try anything here. What can we try? I could just still hear that. External mod in from what? What do you want me to external mod in? We'll zoom out a bit. Oh no, what happened to my controller? It's not working. Is that because, oh, there you go. So I can use the Planar 2 as an external modulation source. I can use LFOs. There's a whole bunch of LFOs lying around here. What would you like me to use as an external modulation source? And we'll play with that. Just an LFO to start? Okay. Yes, sirree. Let's, can we put chatties up as well? No, we can't, can we? You put chatties in the corner, but you won't be able to see it. It'd be nice to be able to sort of do this. Why don't we do this? This. Take me off of there. I'll just stay in the corner like that. But then, with magic, we will get black magic there and chatties there. No, every time I do that, see it? Look, it breaks. Why does it break? Why are you breaking for? Cropping? Cropping. Let's crop. That's weird. Why is it doing that? I don't get it. Cropping Y. Look, that's going to have to do. Beggars can't be choosers. Right, LFO time. Where's the nearest LFO? Over there, okay. That's not far away. We are going to go with a, what sort of waveform do we want? Sort of going beep, beep, beep. All right, now we're going to have to switch that to external. What is it doing? That's the question. Oh, hang on, no, that doesn't, we don't do that, we do this. It's changing the speed. That bezel is like crazy. That's the craziest module in the world. Yes. How fun was that? Well suggested there from, I think Sensient suggested that, didn't he? Sample and hold next. Well, okay, we can do sample and hold. Right, sample and hold it is. It's request time. Sample and hold right next to it. External sample and hold out. Okay, let's do it. Let's get some nicer sounding. I'm getting a bit sick of bezimeless. Let's get a rings happening. That sample and hold, I don't really know what it's doing. It's a bit crazy. I could go faster. There you go, it's a bit more erratic now. Why don't we try a square wave LFO? It should be going do 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 like that. Yeah, it's doing it. It's very subtle. And you can just turn it off if you don't like it. Cool. Oh, it's crazy. That's so crazy. What a crazy module. Good old FM, yes. Good old FM. I can see this being really good. I think like we probably need to give feedback modules a bit of kudos for coming up with this. It's a really, really good design. I'm really happy with this design. In terms of playability, you guys know that I've got big chunky fingers, right? That time knob is massive. And that's the one that you're going to be mucking around with the most. You'll be setting your taps. Let me just turn my corner photo off. You'll be setting your taps. You don't really want to adjust those once you've got your patch happening. And these are all the other things that you'll be playing around with, like feedbacks and all that, and they're decent sized knobs. So this is actually quite a big module in terms of width. It is, someone's going to say, how many HP is it? I don't know. But I can tell you, if you give me a sec. I'll just go to their website and have a look. Actually, it doesn't say in their manual. I will give you guys a link to what I'm looking at too, so you can have a look at it. It is 22 HP, so it's not it's quite a chunky module. But if you have a look at the electronics on that, I think I showed it on Kent's show. The electronics on it is pretty jam-packed. There's the link to the actual product itself. It's reasonably priced. I've always found feedback modules to be really good. It's 250 euros. When you consider what's in this, it's yeah, pretty good. You can calibrate it as well. There's a calibration setting on there as well, which we won't bother with on the show because I think that's pretty bad. It says 22 HP on the website. I don't know why it's why it's saying it's 24. It says 22. But could be. How deep? 50 millimeters is the depth behind the panel with the power cable installed. So that's with the actual grey power ribbon cable installed, 50 millimeters. So it fits in the Behringer Go case. It'll fit in the IntelliGel, same brand. It fits in the Arturia 3U and 6U rack brutes, so you're pretty okay. And I think it might even fit in the Nifty case too, because I think they're 770 mil. So I think you're good to go there. It's definitely nowhere near as big and nasty as the Dope for Spring Reverb. That's just one big nasty deep module, that one. Yeah, 50 millimeters. We could have a little joke about that. Anyway, what else did I want to show you guys? I've lost my train of thought. Okay, yes. The other thing is, during the week we talked about on the previous show we talked about stuff to do with organising your mess. A couple of weeks ago we did the organising your mess show, and we talked about knurlies and we talked about alternatives to knurlies. And during the week I actually did a post on. All the channel members would have seen this. Let me just see if I can change cameras. Hang on a sec, I've got to open an application. Just give me a second. I'm going to change cameras. You probably don't need that there now. I can change that back to me. Guest, host. There we go, cool. If I change that view to that view and then click on that, isn't that the right one? No, that's the right one. Sorry, I always show these Behringer modules, but that's only because they're right in front of me and but I'm not actually showing the Behringer modules. What I'm actually going to be doing is showing you this stuff. So what I'll do is I'll put this cloth here so we don't have to look at Behringer stuff for a second. So next to the knurly is this small one here. This is just a normal standard computer thumb screw, all right? And a computer thumb screw you can buy. One of the reasons why I've chosen this. There's actually a couple of reasons why I've chosen this, but one of the reasons why I've chosen this is because these are a very common part. So it's not something like it's uncommon, like the knurly is uncommon because it's a specialist manufacturer, whereas this is common. Now you can see there's a massive difference in size. But you can see how chunky my fingers are, right? The knurly is tiny in my fingers, and that is actually really good. So this is aimed at people who have got sausage fingers like me, right? And are sick of dropping screws and knurlies inside their racks. That's what this is for. So let me go to back to this view, and we'll grab the Xbox controller. I love this Xbox controller now, it's so cool. And there you can see knurlies next to thumb screws. And so you can see right here, I've got knurlies there and thumb screws there. So they're actually not too bad. They're chunky, all right? But in terms of me getting my fingers around that, you can see how big and fat my fingers are, right? That is actually really nice. And yeah, they do look chunky, but I don't know, imagine if they were different colors, like gold or different like colors of the rainbow. Who knows? You guys could come up with it. I just chose black. The standard color you get is actually silver, and I chose the black ones. I got these from AliExpress. I'll put all the details on, actually, in fact, all the details for this are actually on my website. There's a blog post about this if you haven't checked out my website. It's just ranzee.com, and you just check out the blog post on knurly alternatives. I am going to be adding more solutions to this. Now, you're probably wondering, what's the cost? They're about half, if not less, of the cost of a knurly. And the reason for it is, and this is including the nylon washer that goes with, I should actually have showed you that, shouldn't I? Let's go back to this view. So you can see the nylon washer. You've got to put a nylon washer on these, otherwise you will suffer from rack rash. I do recommend, you don't have to. If you don't care about rack rash, then, you know, so be it. But that nylon washer is really, really inexpensive, completely inexpensive, but that's what these look like. Just those little suckers. Okay, we finished looking at my dirty rag. Okay, I believe Henrik's just turned up. Hello. Have you got audio?
Hi.
He does.
Yeah, I think so.
Fantastic. Okay, nice of you to join us, mate. You're the first of some to come.
I only spent an hour on looking for the camera.
Oh, I probably need to wake up one of our illustrious members. Yeah, so I just put that in Facebook for him so he can, I could be his alarm clock. So yeah, just quickly, let me just wrap up the knurly conversation. So yeah, we're talking about the other options that I'm going to be putting. So I'm going to be updating the blog article. I'll actually just quickly show you guys what the blog article looks like. It's going to be like a, you know, one of those working documents. So just head over to ranzee.com and we can go here. There you go. And it's literally the most recent article. It won't be the most recent article though, because as of tonight, the most recent article will be episode 153. But click on that. You can see I've put photos in there. I've talked about it. I've given you some technical specs. I've done close-up photos. Look at that, everything's there, including links. Yes, people, you've got links to AliExpress. They probably won't work after a couple of weeks, but that's okay. That's typical of AliExpress. I will be adding some more solutions to this. So hang in there. A couple of them have been suggested by people who we know very well, like for example, Mr. Mac, Stephen, who's in the chat now. He suggested one. In fact, his suggestion was also suggested by another person who I also know that's not in this particular group, in a different sort of synth group, but that's okay. And the other is a commercial suggestion that I got told about as well. So there is a commercial alternative to knurlies as well that you can buy, so you don't actually have to try and source these things yourself. But most of us are kind of, I don't know, I always hear lots of us working in IT, so I just thought, you probably have these computer thumb screws lying around. They're M3, they're standards. So most people who have been tinkering with computers over the last 20, 30 years will probably have a little drawer somewhere where they open it up and, oh my God, there's a couple of those thumb screws. Look at that. Just use those. It's because that's free then, isn't it? You know. Anyway, it's just an alternative, and I just thought you guys would be interested in that. Couple of comments that I had when I put that post up were that they didn't like it. It was too chunky. It was too big. It didn't look nice. And but I made it very, very clear for people. This is not an aesthetic thing. This is a usability thing. So this is for people that like to swap their modules in and out quite frequently or move them about. And having that thick thumb screw is actually, believe it or not, it's actually a godsend because it's just so easy. Just doop, out comes the module, boom, in goes the new, and you don't drop your knurlies. You could just use the screws that come with your modules, but this is the problem, guys. You've got to use a screwdriver. You could sit there with your, trying to do them up with your fingers, but that's the problem. You've got to use a screwdriver, and I don't like them. I mean, look, here's a whole bunch of modules just here with screws in them, and you'll probably find that if you're going to set up your stuff and you're going to just leave it, this conversation isn't for you. Just use screws, because if you're just going to set it up and leave it and never touch it for years, screws are fine. But this is more for people who like to swap modules out. Just like you might be a person that sells and buys synths. You might have a synth for a year, then you sell it, move something on, something goes in the studio, something comes out. The same happens with Eurorack with a lot of people. So that's what that's about. Max already mentioned the name of one of the commercial solutions. There it is there. After Later Audio. There you go. After Later Audio. We'll put that in the blog article within the next day or so you guys will have links to all that sort of stuff. So don't worry. We don't have to worry about links to the show. What else? That was the other thing. We've got to get the guys into the chat within the next 10-15 minutes because that's when the main show starts. Sorry, no, it's more like about 25 minutes before the main show starts. Yeah, Roy's on the money there. Knurlies have got the inbuilt nylon washer, and they do prevent rack rash. One problem though, with all of this stuff, and if you ever talk to Mac, who's Stephen and who's in the chat, is no, you didn't spoil the blog, mate. You're good. You've been a wonderful help as always. One of the things about the Knurlies, and even those computer thumb screws that I just showed you, is they're actually a metal thread. So they're an M3 metal thread, and you can strip your, your, what do you call it? Your threads. You can strip your threads. What am I saying? You know what I'm talking about. You can strip the screw where the screw goes in, the threads. Yeah, that's what it's called. So one of the things that you may want to look at if you're worried about stripping threads, especially if you've got like fixed rails, is you may want to look at using like nylon threads. So the actual screw solution that I haven't put in the blog yet, but I will be in the next couple of days, is a standoff, a nylon standoff. I do have some, just give me a sec, I'm going to grab it. I have some M2.5s here to show you, but they're not the right size. But you get the idea. If I show you the pack, you'll see what I'm talking about. So the nylon standoffs, and you can put a screw through them. You put a nylon screw through them. So these are nylon standoffs. I'll show you what they look like. Let's get my cloth again. Go to here. Go to different camera. These are just so you guys know what nylon standoffs look like. A standoff is basically you've got a thread on one side and you've got a screw thread on the inside of it. So if we were to do like close-ups of this, you can see there's like a screw thread in there. And then this is all plastic. So you're not going to strip your threaded screw hole in your rack. So these aren't the right size. This is a 2.5, but this is what a standoff looks like. And then you would put your nylon screw through the back. These are obviously not this size. So I'm going to show all this in the article. You put your nylon screw through the back. That stays there as a permanent thing. And then you are literally cooking with gas, as they say in the old days. And that standoff itself becomes something that you can physically grab hold of. And they're about the same thickness as a Knurly. So that's another option for you. But that will be, I'll do photos and all that sort of stuff when I get off my bottom and show you guys what that looks like. So yeah. What do you think of the Xbox control for the camera, eh? How cool is that, Henrik?
I think it's great if you have such a controller. I don't. It reminds me of the NerdSec it has some options like that too.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I actually have an Xbox controller, because there's a lot of synth stuff that you can actually set up because those controllers, you can set them up as MIDI, like MIDI commands. So you can actually control stuff through MIDI with a third-party plug-in software, but literally it'll listen to something coming in through USB, translate it to MIDI and send it out to your device. So that's one of the reasons why I've had that lying around. I've used it for other stuff before, like, you know, controlling synths and modulation wheels and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun, actually. You sit there and control your synth like you're playing a game. But yeah, what we'll do for now is, I think just while we're waiting for the guests to arrive, we'll pop. So we want to have guest 1, guest 1, guest 3 will go there. So that way that they're all ready to go. But for now, we're going to go. You're in guest 1, aren't you? So you're there. And if I hit this magic button, it should automatically put both of us. But what has it done to you? It's beard cam. What is going on? This is just crazy. Maybe if I go like that, and then I don't know what I've just done. I've just broken it. I've broken the whole thing, people. Why have I broken it? Why are you so big? Anyway, I've just broken my whole thing. Yeah, we'll go back to this, and I won't touch it. I just broke it. If I don't save it, I think we'll be fine at the end of the show. I just won't save it.
And I may have zoomed in. I may have zoomed in a little to hide the bed and something like that.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes, I can. You don't. You could come down a bit. I probably could come up a bit, but yeah, it is what it is. No, that's the other way. Other way. Yeah, it's not so bad. I mean, yeah, I know you're trying to show your gear, but yeah, back there. That's probably a bit better. You're showing your gear. Yeah, I mean, gear's more important than our heads, aren't they? Chatties.
I only wanted to show a little tiny bit of the Hydra. So can you? I had one.
Yeah, because you want to troll me because you know I don't have one. That's why.
No, not trolling, but making you your gas work.
Yeah, it's true. I'm literally about to get one. I just right now what I'm trying, like, if you guys were watching Kent's show during the week, I was talking about getting a Hydra synth, and I've always wanted to get the new one, the little Explorer version, I think it's called, because it's a little mini keyboard. It fits in with all the the sort of gear that I have. But now all of a sudden I'm thinking, just for a little bit extra money, I could just get the bigger one. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But this will be probably one of the biggest synth purchases I'll be making this year. So, dearie me.
I was thinking on adding a desktop version to my keyboard version, the old ones. But now I may add what is it called? The Explorer version instead of the rack mount, the desktop.
The Explorer version is exactly the same engine, isn't it, as the other than the Deluxe, which has got 2 engines in it, but it's the same.
And it has and with Node off, the option to use Node off. It shouldn't be possible on the old versions, as far as I know. So
it's got analog, all the analog filters and everything, and it's not like a cut down version where it's got digital filters or anything. It's all the same, physically the same engine with each of them except for the Deluxe, which has got 2 of them. And obviously you've got different amount of knobs and controls. I understand that, but the engine itself that's driving all the sounds, there's no lack of voices or anything, right? That's for me, that's a deal breaker. I want to make sure that if I do get one, it's got to have exactly the amount of same voices as what the standard model has, and it has to have the analog filters through
It
it.
does, and the Deluxe has a double engine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So that will be happening pretty soon, I would say. So we'll see what happens. Everyone's talking about me and you and your beard, and I don't know. Maybe they're wanting you to do the Santa show at the end of the year. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm thinking of cutting it like here, something like that. I don't know.
Digital filters is what Andy's saying. Sorry, Manny is saying in the chat. Dr. Synth is saying digital filters and all Hydras. I thought they were analog filters.
Yeah. No, it is digital.
The whole thing is digital, is it?
Yeah.
So why are they calling it a hybrid synth then? Is there nothing hybrid about it?
I don't know. It's how you define the word, I think.
Okay. Anyway, it doesn't worry me. It sounds awesome. Cool. That might be why they modeled filters. Ah, okay. That might be why they were able to cut it down into such a small thing. Okay. Anyway, so where was I at before? So with our guests, I'm hoping that they're going to be turning up in the next 15 minutes or so. I haven't actually heard anything yet. I've heard, okay, yeah, one of them's seen it, good. All right, so one of them should be turning up and we'll see that happening. I'm just keeping an eye on everything because I've got to kind of control the show and also as the guests coming in. Looks like, who is chatting right? Yes, looks like Scotty is chatting right now, which is what he's asking you to come on now, so just give me a second. Just let me just reply to his message. Says you're connected. Let me just see what he's connected as.
I'll just cut the cam for a second. I have to do something.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. It's not connected.
I just had to try this. I cut it again.
No, do not do that. No. We like everything about that. So Scott is saying he's connected, but I'm not seeing him connected. So yeah, no, not showing here. So we're going to have to troubleshoot that. I don't know. One of the things with the cool software on this streaming platform is that I've tried it in a few different sort of scenarios. So I've tried it in on Mac and on Windows, and if you use Google Chrome, it works perfectly. So that's the go-to. Yeah, he's saying he can see himself, but he can't see the screen. He should be able to see. He says he's using Chrome. Okay, so why can't he get in? Just let me troubleshoot this for a second. Just got to see if we can get Scott in. So it's showing that he's connected, and then it's showing like an error. Is there a log file here? Yeah, no, he hasn't.
Is he using Chrome?
He says he's using Chrome, yeah. So we just got to get this going first. I mean, guys who are watching this stream right now, like there's, 30, 40 odd people watching the stream. It's not the greatest thing to be sorting out, but this is the pre-show, and this is what the whole reason why we have the pre-show is so that we can sort things like this out before we actually start the main show, which is only 13 minutes away. So yeah, I don't have green on Scott, which means he's not actually connected. So he's just trying it again. Give it a second. Which one is he coming in as? He's coming in as the third one. Okay. Still nothing on Chrome. Interesting. Yeah, the third one. Cool. That should be okay. Are you using a Mac, Henrik, or are you using Windows? Can't seem to.
If it's Scott, I think it's Windows.
It shows that he's logged in. Okay. Oh, we just got an error message. Sorry guys, I really need to sort this out with him. He's trying it on Firefox, all right. Firefox threw an error straight away. Does it actually work with, have you guys ever tried it with Safari? I don't think I've ever tried it with Safari. Anyway.
Shall I try with Edge? It doesn't help if it's on.
Oh, as in Microsoft Edge? No, don't. Yeah, don't do it on Edge. He didn't actually answer whether it was Mac or Windows. It is just not working for him. I wonder why. Is it to do with... This is annoying. Just give me a sec, guys. Chrome is working fine for Henrik, isn't it? You're using Chrome, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can get to it too through Chrome. So yeah, I don't know what's going on. And Chrome updates itself these days, so you don't even really need to like download the latest version. It just does it all through itself. So yeah, it should all be fine. Unless it's like a security permissions thing, maybe. Like a Windows, maybe it's a Windows. Might be that.
In Chrome, I have to go out of full screen. In Chrome, on the lock
reboot
next to. Okay, but on the lock next to the address line, he can click there, and there he can see if the camera and microphone is enabled or blocked.
What he gets, what I'm getting is I'm getting him logging in and then making initial contact, and then it's disconnecting. So I don't know what's causing that to disconnect. And then he talks to me on Facebook saying he's trying. And it's really, really hard to know what's going on without actually seeing. So, I just thought in Windows, Windows doesn't have that security thing now where you've got to go into, your settings and you've got to enable your camera.
Depends on what security you have. I don't use much of the Windows security. I have a firewall and virus.
So maybe
antivirus.
Antivirus blocking it?
It could be.
That's the only other thing I can think of. Let me just try something here. So with Windows, you've got camera security, right? Camera security. Camera and privacy settings, that's it, yeah. Camera privacy settings. So in Windows, you've got to go into camera privacy settings, and then you've got to click on, it actually shows what apps are allowed to access your camera, and you've got to click change and things like that. So
what if he, from the start, after clicking in the messenger, then the page which opens for vMix call, there's some extra thing added by Facebook.
Yeah.
If he removes that, does it work then?
Yeah, the little cog thing. He might need to go in there. Yeah.
I did it that way and it worked.
Click this.
Didn't remove anything.
Is it called settings? Okay, it's really hard to troubleshoot this when I can't actually see his screen, but it says he's logged in, but there's not I'm not getting a green. Under yours, I've got a green thing, and then under his it's red, which means it hasn't actually initiated the call properly.
Yeah, could it be the settings with the camera and microphone where he can choose the devices?
He says he can see himself, so like when he actually logs in, he can see himself, but everything else is black. So he can see himself, but nothing else. So I'm not really sure what would be causing that. Yeah, and I don't know if I'm able to troubleshoot that. This is going to be a pain. Without knowing like what the error is on his screen.
Have you tried the old thing, reboot?
Well, I told him in Facebook to close his browser and then, yeah. But maybe reboot, yeah. I'll just ask him that. That's going to be a pain if we can't get him in. We do have Ken coming, but he's got to wake up yet. It's a bit of a train wreck. This software should actually, there shouldn't be any issues with it because it's using the same protocol. It's called WebRT that you use in Zoom calls, that you use in, StreamYard, anything to do with anything that you're using your camera and your mic in through your browser. So this should actually work unless you don't use unless you don't use Chrome as your normal browser, using something else. So if it's vanilla in that sense, that could be why he's having trouble with it. But yeah, this stuff should be pretty basic. There shouldn't be any dramas with using it. It's when people do have issues with it, it's usually something that they've set up their end, like a virus software or a firewall thing to block applications from accessing cameras. Because people do get paranoid about cameras spying on people and things like that sort of stuff. So you've got to make sure that you're allowing that sort of stuff to work. Other than that, I don't really know what else it could be.
But could you, if we don't get this to work, could you bring him in via Skype or something, or would it put a load on it all? I
can't bring him in via Skype, not through here, because I don't actually have a way of capturing it through here. Yeah, it just won't work. We used to use Skype on this show, but I was using OBS Studio to stream on. And it was really, really buggy. Honestly, it was so bad. What he's doing right now is he's logging in and disconnecting and logging in and disconnecting, and it's just not playing ball with him. And what he should be seeing is those 4 squares that we're seeing. When he logs in, he should see his whole browser, like what you're seeing, Henrik. You're seeing the 4 squares here, the 2 black ones down the bottom and us up the top, and in the corner you'll see yourself again, which you can disable, but you should be able to see yourself in that. And that's what he's saying. He can see himself in the corner, but everything else is black. So I would suggest that it's got something to do with antivirus or firewall, that sort of, maybe it's a browser plugin, that sort of stuff would be what's causing it. I said to disable ad blockers.
Yeah, I have ad blockers on and other blockers, and everything works. It might be different at his place.
Yeah, I'm not sure. If it doesn't work, we can't get him in. We'll just have to persevere, and hopefully we can get Ken to wake up. I was literally talking to him about 6.5 hours ago, so we'll see what happens. In the meantime, Henrik, can I ask you to assist a little bit just with troubleshooting? Because you've got that application on your browser working, right? And you can see him in Facebook talking to me. Have you got the Facebook? Yeah. Yep. Can you just sort that out in the next couple of minutes? If we can't get him in, we can't get him in. There's nothing we can do about it. It's definitely his end. Restart the entire show. No, it's not. It's not my end. It's because Henrik wouldn't be able to join. If it was my end, no one would be able to join, and it would definitely be an issue. So it's not to do with the internet. It's not to do with anything like that. It'll definitely be something his end, and yeah, we'll get Henrik to chat to him in Facebook. That way I can keep the show running anyway. We have literally got a couple of seconds to go before we're going to hit the main part of the show. So what we'll do in the meantime is whilst we've got those guys sorting themselves out, there's always a few little technical issues when you've got new guests arriving. So we'll see what happens there. Just give me a sec. I just want to go to, I'll just go to me. Hang on a sec. No, I won't. Host. Here we go. All right, I'll go across to that just for the time being anyway, and then that will sort out the other two guests as they come in. Henrik, just ask him to screenshot the settings thing, and you can see if he's got that set up properly. See how he goes from there. Okay, what we're going to do is we are going to roll the start of the show stinger because it's literally that time. So let's hit this button here. Hey, welcome to the main show. You've reached Synth Geekery episode 153. Wow. I don't even know how we got to that number. It's quite an arbitrary number, that one, isn't it? May even be a prime number if you're into that sort of geeky stuff. Welcome. Nice to see you here. If you've just joined us, there's been a whole bunch of people who've been with us for the last hour or so. We've been noodling about with all sorts of cool stuff, modules and talking about nerlies and all sorts of stuff. Anyway, what we're going to do today is we're going to do our normal show. We do have a special show today. We're just trying to get some guests sorted out. We've got three special guests. Hopefully one of them's waking up and the other one's trying to connect to us right now. So hopefully we can sort that out. If not, we'll persevere with the show anyway. That special topic is hearing challenges, which you guys would have been told about through the social media posts that you've seen. So it is kind of a cool subject, and I'm really, really keen to bite into this because I think, as I'm getting older, I'm definitely going to experience it, I guess, in the near future. So far, touch wood, it hasn't affected me. I do know my parents, they definitely needed hearing aids when they got older. So I know it's going to happen eventually for me. But there are people that are well known in the music industry and they have suffered all through their lives with hearing issues, yet they're still able to produce. So I think that's something that we kind of need to talk about. And I think it's interesting to prepare yourself for, or to even as an interest point of view. On top of that, we have a massive news section. Oh my God, so much. You guys would have known. I mean, obviously, unless you're living under a rock, there's a lot of stuff that's come out during the week. We're gonna sort of breeze through all of that. Some of the stuff you may have not even heard of. So stick around for the news. We've got all our regular segments, funny side, Price Watch. We've even got to name that synth. Yes, Eddie's back with another one that'll get you guys scratching your head. So we've got that coming up as well. So basically, yeah, what we'll do first is we'll, Henrik, are you able to say a quick hello or are you busy? Should we jump to you just quickly?
Yep. We're just troubleshooting. Hello. Yeah. I look forward to the show today. I hope we get everything working. So, yeah. Over to you.
Yeah. So what I'm just having a look at his setting. He's definitely got his settings correct. So I just wanted to double check to make sure he's got his settings correct and everything. And he does. And for some reason, he's just not getting back anything. But yeah, definitely I would be using Chrome. So if you can let him know just to use, I can do that myself, I guess. Chrome is the best to use. Right. Okay. What we'll do is, as we're trying to get Scotty to come in, and we're also trying to get Ken to wake up, we'll persevere through the show. We'll definitely introduce those guys once we get them on board, and double check that. Yeah, that seems to be fine. It looks fine. Good. Just keep persevering with that. We're going to roll the stinger for our regular segment, starting with this one. Yes, here we are at the end of the internet where the strange things called memes pop up. And here we go. This one I kind of took a personal liking to. Here's some money for synths. Oh, you shouldn't have. I can't accept it. Come on, of course you can. He's talking to himself in front of the mirror. Yes, that's me every day, giving myself permission. Right, so moving on from that. Hopefully these buttons are working now. Let's see what happens. Oh, look at that. This one came from Alex Ball. Big hello to Alex if he's watching. I like this one. It was pretty cute. So this is where 303 Day was, what it was, a couple of days ago now, where it doesn't matter whether you're day, month, year or month, day, year, whether you're from the US or from the UK, you can still have a 303 Day. I just thought that was cute. Very cute indeed. Right, what else have we got? We have got, this one is a bit risky. Yes, you can get this CD-ROM version. CD-ROM, I like that. Over 200 bow chicka wow wows. A bass-heavy music software program designed specifically for the adult entertainment industry. Yes, if you really need to get yourself a day job, that could be yours. Get yourself the CD-ROM version first. Geez, it just gets worse from here. What about this one? I created this cool red keyboard and they mock me. Why? And you got the nerd t-shirts. That poor guy. He, look, he does create really, really nice red keyboards. I mean, I can understand why he's a little bit upset by that. It's a bit rude. It's a bit rude. Personally, I don't know the difference between a classic t-shirt and a graphic t-shirt, but as far as he's concerned, they're all graphic. That is it. It looks like you guys are still trying to sort out connection issues, so it's a shame. It's a bugger. It's a terrible thing, and I don't know why, and it's still showing up as red at this end. So it shows that he's connecting, but then it just, it doesn't actually go the next step. So not sure what's going on. Get him to try this instead. Try that one instead. It might be the beta that might be causing him issues, so just get him to try the standard. Try that link instead. I think that's the right link. I've just typed it, so I'm hoping I'm giving him the right link. Let me just try it to make sure it's the right link. If it comes up with yeah, it's the right one. Cool. Lucky, lucky, lucky. All right. I know you didn't get to see the memes, Henrik, so I won't ask you what your favorite was, but we will ask the wonderful people in chat. What was your favorite meme this week, chatties? Unison Porn, says Kevin Human. Nice to see Inverted Popes. Inverted Popes is, he's one of our channel members. So, yeah. Audio only. Remove his camera. See what happens with the other connections. So, Nord was pretty good, yeah. Okay, so looks like it's the same issue with the other link. So it's not the link, it could just be him, his end, it might be his network. I don't know. If he can use that browser for Zoom calls, he should be able to use that browser for this. I'm not really sure what's going on. All I'm seeing is it logs in, but nothing keeps going from there. So yeah, a little bit annoying for him and for us, unfortunately. We are all Mirror Man, says David. What we're going to do is we're going to go straight on to the next segment, which is news. And I think we can just keep persevering, Henrik, with him. If we can't by the end of news, there's a problem. News is a big one this week. As I mentioned to you, I don't know why it says that. That's absolutely not correct. I thought I refreshed all this stuff. Okay, let's just fix this up. Let's fix this up. Okay, there we go. It's weird because the little cursor is sitting on there, but I don't know why it went to the other one. It's on the right graphic, as in the image, but the text was not right. So not sure what's going on there. Anyway, fixed. That's the good news. Okay, so what do we got here? We have got this new fantastic thing from Squarp, which is called the Hapax or Hapax. Not really sure. We'll find out how they pronounce it in a second because there's a video coming up. But what we're going to do is we're going to have a quick little talk about what this is. It's basically a really cool sort of sequencer thing which gives you the ability to sort of merge between sequences. It's a 16-track sequencer with 8 patterns per track. It can handle polyrhythms, polymetrics. It runs in all directions, including step recording, live recording. It's got CV, MIDI, mono, polyphonic, and tracks of MPE included. It has algorithmic composition tools, real-time MIDI effects, all sorts of randomizing and harmonizing, scaling, Euclidean rhythms, all sorts of cool stuff there. Loads of connectivity. I've got another graphic to show you in a sec, but it's in the video. What we'll do is we'll watch the video, and if I click on there and click on there and click on there, we should see something. So it is a pretty cool thing indeed. The Squarp Hapax, squarp.net/Hapax, there's a link there if you want to go check it out. Yeah, the thing I kind of like about this, guys, is that it has that 2 project thing, and you can sort of, it's a little bit like the DJ A to B slider thing. You can sort of mix between 2 projects on the fly. I think that's a cool thing. Price-wise, it is coming out 864. Now, is that euros? 864 euros. And you can order one now. So if you're interested in this sort of stuff, this is for those who want to be outside of the box. They want to be doorless. They want to be connecting all their gear up. Yeah. So, Henrik, are you interested in this? Is that something that you would be interested in?
sequences. So no, not for me. It sounded good, but it's not for me.
Technically, it actually doesn't make any sound at all unless you plug it into stuff. So, oh, there we go. Look, we've got Scott. Yay!
Yeah.
What happened? We can hear you. Everything. What did you do?
I used Ken's code instead of mine.
Okay. All right.
So Ken need a new code.
We'll give Ken a different code. Sound at all unless you plug it in. Now I can actually hear myself coming back through your connection, by the way. So you may want to turn off anything that's coming through speakers or anything like that. And I do recommend you use headphones. Yeah, I do recommend you use headphones.
Yeah, that was my doing. I had the YouTube stream going as well. So
beautiful. Let me just while we've got you, Scott, I'm just going to give Ken a different password because otherwise there's going to be trouble, and we don't want trouble. Just give me a second. It's going to take 2 seconds to get a new password.
I was vibrating here because you guys were talking about this Hydrosynth, and I've got a brand new Hydrosynth Deluxe sitting right here. And obviously Ken knows about that as well because I've got some of his sounds in it.
Now that means the problem now is I'm going to have to change the lower thirds, aren't I? Dear me.
Right, yeah.
So just give me a sec. I can do that from here. I can just insert a line. Give me a sec. Sorry, this is all going to be fixed in a second. And delete a line. There you go, all fixed. All right, so that should save that. And if I refresh, I'll refresh, reload that. And then if I go to this, and then I go back to Scott, it should give the right low. Oh, look at that thing of beauty. Hello, Scott, and welcome.
Hello. Now have I got this set up so the microphone, you can actually hear that?
I can hear your microphone, yeah, I can.
Good, okay.
Yeah, you may want to bring that closer though, because you are a little quiet when you're sort of sitting back a bit. That's one of those Shure, is it the Shure mic? Is that one?
No, it's a Rode. It's a pod mic.
Oh, pod mic. Yeah, you have to be a little bit intimate with those.
Yeah, it is a dynamic, and I'll bring it up on my mixer a bit as well.
Okay, great. You can come up a little bit. I can knock you down if you go too high, so that's all good.
Sure thing.
All right, so let's just get... well, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit while we got you on the camera there?
Sure. My name is Scott MacLean. I am a synth guy, if you can't tell. I've been doing this since mid to late 1980s. I started out with a Korg Poly 6 and I got an Ensoniq Mirage. And it's kind of grown into this. I worked as a club DJ. I worked in radio. So it's never been a real vocation, and of course now I just do this all for fun because I'm a developer by trade. But it's definitely a passion of mine that I've been doing for many years.
Excellent, fantastic.
Oh, and I have I picked my shirt appropriately for today.
Slave of the Square Wave. Yeah, I love it. Fantastic.
It's slave to the Square Wave.
Oh, slave
and the reason
to
I picked that, yeah, it's actually. Let me bring it up here so you can see. It's actually a friend's band. So I thought I thought it was a great name for a band, and I thought it would be great for the show. So that's it's a Toronto-based band. They've been around for over 20 years. If you have not heard Slave to the Square Wave before, you definitely worth checking out. They've been around, I guess, like I said, from about 20 years. They big in Toronto. They had a big following in Germany. They had an album came out the end of 2020 last. Lots of videos, amazing live show. So anyway, I thought I'd wear their shirt today just because it seems to fit well with the theme of the show. Fantastic.
And we're looking, everyone's checking out your studio right now, Scott. So you've got, what is that? Is that a JDXI up the top, the left-hand corner there?
And yes, it is. That's my JDXI, which I use mostly as a drum machine. because it has some really good. It has a CR78. It's got an 808, 908, 707, and you can create your own drum kits. You could have like a 808 bass in it with a CR78 hi hat or whatever. You can make it, and so and it has the standard TR rec sequencer on it. So I use that more as a drum machine than anything else. The vocoder on it is pretty good too. So I use that as my main vocoder.
Yeah.
And I got a little Yamaha Reface CS over there.
Great little synth that is.
A wave state, the Gaia SH01 rolling Gaia. That actually I end up using that more than anything else out just to take and go, because it's got nice full size keys on it. It's got a decent assortment of sounds on it. It's light and small, so that's my kind of go-to take somewhere machine. And then the Hydrasynth is by everything. It's
beautiful.
Mainly it's got the Polytouch keyboard, and it's just the most amazing thing to do sound design on. I use it a lot to play other synths. Like the JDXI has this miserable keypad.
Yep.
So I use it. I use the Hydrasynth to play it, and then I've got a Cobalt 8X kind of hiding.
Nice. Yeah, we can see it. Yeah, we can see it.
So I've got this little. Actually, I got another view here.
Oh wow,
that's probably a better view. So I've got my Cobalt 8X here, which is probably, I think that's the most recent one. Actually, no, the Hydrasynth. I did have an original Hydrasynth for a couple of years, and I swapped it for the Deluxe.
Yeah.
And then hiding way down there, you can just barely see it. I've got a Korg NTS1 that I use. Actually, I don't even use the synth on it. I have it set up in my mixer as an effects loop, so I've got it, basically using it for the reverb and the delay, because you can use a lot of the Minilogue delays and reverbs in it. An RC505 looper. I get the System 8 up here, which I love.
Beautiful synth.
I mean, even just the System 8 engine is so great, and it's got all the old Roland classic synths. I got the Summit, which I really want to love, and as soon as they fix all the bugs in it, I'm sure they will. I will love it.
They're promising a firmware update. They are.
They've been promising it for over a year.
Yeah, I've just read, because Jamie, who's Geosynths, has been very active with Novation about getting the Summit to be fixed, and they have promised it. So let's see what happens. It's specific to the Summit, isn't it? It's specific to the Summit, because I think the Peak doesn't have the issues because it's to do with the second engine, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah, and it really has to do with a lot of the MIDI implementation. I mean, there are some envelope issues and things, but the things that really hurt me on it is the MIDI implementation, and particularly when you do a lot of work with the DAW, which I do, it's really kind of painful that really basic stuff, like when you send MIDI that has mod wheel on it, it ignores it.
Yeah.
So it's broken. And then certain things that when you send CCs on some notes, if it happens to be playing voices 1 through 8, it works fine. But if it happens to be playing voice 9 through 16, it doesn't work. I mean, just like crazy MIDI stuff like that. Yeah. So I'm really hoping, because I really love the sound of it, so I'm really hoping that gets fixed soon.
Yeah.
And then my Modi X7, which is kind of like the everything. It's pianos and guitars,
beautiful
and
synth.
anything you want, I think. And then I think, I've got a little Poly 800 over in the corner there that I restored recently.
They're great, those little Poly 800s. They've got some really crazy waveforms, how they make the actual, how they use those step waves and all that sort of. It's crazy how they work, isn't it?
And I put in what they call the Moog Slayer mod, so you can actually twist the knobs on it.
Yeah, which is big, because otherwise you have to use the push buttons. Yeah, that's a good mod.
Right. And so changing the resonance and filter on it is a real pain. So I put that, and you can also, they have both a 12 and 24 decibel filter in it. Yeah. It's only, the way it came from the factory, it only uses one of them. So I put that in so you can switch between those as well. And that really makes it much more playable. Nice little synth.
Yeah, and actually once you actually are able to access the filters properly, it actually sounds better, believe it or not.
Yeah, it really does.
I started out with a Poly 800 and a Mirage, so that was my start too. While we are at it at modding, I modded my wave state. It's a tiny mod. It's just the buttons. It's more inspiring with buttons like this than the original.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. By the way, Henrik, you're only coming through on the left channel. I'm not sure why that is, but yeah, I just thought I'd let you know.
Disconnect and connect again.
Okay.
I know why.
right.
I'll fix it.
Yep. But before you do, just tell us what about the mod. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just thought I'd let you know. What was about the mod with the Mod X? You changed the buttons on it?
The Mod X? No, it was a wave state.
Oh, the wave state.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
only
the
buttons.
knobs.
Yeah.
I
the
saw
knobs,
his mod knobs were not the white ones that it comes with. I saw.
It's the knobs from the Neutron.
Right. Okay. So
okay.
what's wrong with the original ones? Are they just not nice?
No.
They're white?
They're white. Okay.
Too big. You can't see what's standing above them, what's written above them.
Oh, okay. Bad design by Korg.
That's true.
Bad design by Korg. Wow. We still haven't got Ken yet. I think he might be sleeping, by the way. So so we won't worry about that too much. What we do, Scott, we were actually just going through our new segment, which is a pretty big segment. I will warn you.
Yeah,
there's lots happening this week. So we just finished talking about the Hapax from Squarp, which is that new MPE dual mode sequencer, if you're into DAW-less stuff. But what we'll do is we'll go to the next one now. And the next one, if the buttons...
I actually wrote a post about that Hapax on Facebook when it first came out that got a lot of traction. And what I wrote about was the screen on it. I don't know if you can really see, but they have done the same thing as Korg did on the Wave State. And they put these really low resolution, I think it's a 120 by 60 pixel screen on it.
Yeah.
And I was going to do a video on it, on why are manufacturers using these 1980s technology screens on these modern machines, and then the letters are so blocky and hard to read.
Yeah.
It was interesting. About half the people said, yeah, I totally agree. Why are they doing that? And then the other half said, oh, because it looks great. It's aesthetics. So, I don't know. I have trouble reading it. So.
But the thing is, a lot of people probably, let's just go to us for a sec. A lot of people probably aren't, let's be nice here. We're senior, right? So we've been around a bit. So our eyesights aren't as good as the younger generation. So we've talked about the tiny little screens and Roland synths, and they've been doing it for years. So yeah, I agree.
It's what's keeping me from buying a Jupiter X, honestly.
Yeah, a lot of people say the same. See, Akai are getting it right. When Akai released the new MPCs, they've got a nice big screen. It's very readable. It's high resolution. It's very adaptive and capacitive touch and everything. It's kind of like almost as good as an iPad in that sense. So there are some companies that are doing it well, and some aren't. Like Electron. Hello, Electron. Right, we should probably go to the next one. The next one should be, if everything works right, this one, and I'm going to get Henry to chat about this, because I have to admit I haven't really used Cubase a lot. I know about it. I know, enough to be dangerous.
This is my dog.
Yeah, so I'm going to get you guys to chat about this. This is the new update. So I can just tell you a couple of little things here. If you're into Cubase Pro, you're looking at $579 US. Artist Edition $329. Elements is $99. Now, Henry, you're telling me this is going to be how much just to upgrade yours?
Oh, it's always an upgrade from the previous version is always 99, as I remember.
$99. Yeah,
Right.
that's. I don't know if
Yeah,
it's other than Pro. I know mine is the Pro, and the upgrade for Pro
uh,
11 Pro to 12 Pro is
I don't
99.
know either. But the main new things about this version is they're dropping the dongle, and they have Apple Silicon support. They have a new MIDI mapping system. It's very easy to set up your synthesizer or controllers, and see them graphically on the screen. So they look like what you're pushing of buttons. And there's the audio to chord track, where you can play a guitar chord or something, and it converts that to MIDI, and you can use it in a chord track. So it's not only one voice, but a chord, three voices, for example.
Okay. Yep.
Then there's the scale editor, which is a little improved in very audio, where you edit pitches and stuff like that. And boom, boom, boom. There's some improvements in the ARA audio track integration. I don't use ARA, so I don't know much about that. Then there's some improvements in the sample editor, and you can now export events. So if you have an event you want to export, before you had to render it and then export the rendered. Now you can export directly from the event, so you don't have to render it. And then there is some improvements in the logical transformer and project logical editors. And there's Dolby Atmos
Yeah,
support.
that logical
And
editor was
there's
totally rewritten.
Yeah, and there's a new piano plugin, and boom, 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 and a
That
little
new,
more.
I think it's. Is it Verve, the felt piano? If you haven't heard it, it's really really nice. I know I've downloaded the new Cubase 12, but I have not yet actually installed it. Dom Segalis did a whole review on the new version 12, and he demonstrates that piano. It's really nice.
Okay.
Yeah,
Why don't we?
I haven't installed it yet, too.
What?
So.
Why don't we check the video out? There's about a minute worth of marketing that we could watch. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah,
And I honestly think that's one of the best DAWs out there, isn't it? It has to be, without a doubt.
I've been using it forever, and they at the very beginning there they showed the FX modulator. I think that's going to be huge. It lets you modulate absolutely. You can set up a whole rack of effects and have each one sync to time, to your beat, and have it modulate, so you can get all kinds of filter effects. You can have envelope effects. I saw it and I thought, oh my gosh, it's like a rabbit hole you're gonna get into, and you can do some amazing things with it.
But hasn't it actually been there for a long time, just called something else?
No,
I remember it's back from version 5. I remember something where you could make stutter and all those things, and filter, and there is a plugin in Cubase which can do that.
Yeah,
Import
do it like
transformer,
you were saying.
or something. Input transformer.
if you've ever used BT's Break Tweaker, it kind of brings in some of the concepts of that, where you can have waveforms that you can literally draw them with your mouse and apply that to individual effects, time synced, and so you can get really rhythmic filters or anything like that sort.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, I have Break Tweaker and have used it a lot. I will use the new plugin or new options for sure. But there was a plugin which could do all the stuttering and all that, and I think it's in the input chain or it's on the old inspector list. I just can't remember what it's called.
I know you do Loop Mash, but I think Loop Mash has actually been removed from Cubase 12.
Okay.
Right.
So it's actually that they have made a new version of.
Yeah, I think maybe.
I think, guys, out of this particular block of news, I would probably say this is probably one of the biggest bit of news yet. This is a pretty substantial update. So if you are a Cubase person and you have been living under a rock, you may want to go check out the Steinberg website and see what it's all about. But we have to get on to the rest because there's still like about 12 other items to go. Right, next one on the ranks is this by a wonderful little company who does Eurorack modules, and it's ALM Busy Circuits. And we've been talking about effects stuff. In fact, at the start of the show, I was actually playing around with a tap delay module. This one is a multi-effects module. It's a digital effects. What's good about this though is it's stereo, and it's got a whole bunch of algorithms on its digital. And I think a lot of people really kind of miss having something, hardware-wise in the Eurorack that does stuff like this. So this is another option out there. Now, I do have a little video to get you guys whetted appetite on. Let's chuck that on.
The MFX is a powerful and compact 6 HP stereo digital multi-effects processor with 14 different effects engines, including multiple feature-rich reverbs and delays, distortion and dynamics processing, one-of-a-kind granular and glitch effects, flexible modulation effects, and convenient additional utility functions. Inspired by our favourite classic racked effects, the MFX incorporates DSP technologies starting from the dawn of digital effects in the 70s and advancing all the way to the present day, bringing some of the most unique effects of the past into the modern and flexible Eurorack format. Let's take a look at the features using the Digi-PCM delay engine to demonstrate.
All right, so we're not going to go through all of the features because it's another 5 minutes or so, but I just wanted to quickly, because we've got to get through to the next stuff, I do want to quickly sort of cover off on what these are. One thing is there's a bunch of effects modules out there that different manufacturers make, and they don't have clock inputs. And I think if a lot of effects modules now do rely on a beat or a clock or a trigger of some sort, so that you'll not have noticed on this that there's actually if I press the button again, there's actually 3 CV inputs. You can use one of them as a clock and another one as a trigger, and the other one as some sort of variable effect. You can use them as whatever you assign them to is actually freely assignable. And so that's actually pretty important to have. And the fact that they can take a mono input and a stereo output is also pretty cool. Guys, I've noticed that probably out of us here, Scott, you're probably not in the Eurorack realm yet.
No Eurorack, no modular, and that's intentional because I know it's a dark hole from which my money will disappear.
Yeah.
Don't go there.
Yeah, Henrik, what's your go-to effects at the moment? What are you using? Just real quickly.
I just got the Data Bender. It's incredible. It's. I don't use it on rhythms because that's too standard. I use it on when I do something slow. Then it's great. It's evolving and Yeah, I can't explain it. It's just good.
Yeah. So this particular one, the amount of algorithms it's got, and I think you'll probably like this. Definitely go check out the website link, which is just there in the graphic. You'll be able to check it out. busycircuits.com/ALM032. That's the name of the module, even though it's MFX. It's got a DGPCM echo, taper echo, crumbler echo, which is an experimental granular style echo. It's got Ursa minor echo verb, which is an emulation of the classic Ursa major space station, which I think is interesting. Pocket PL8, which is an emulation of very early digital style reverbs with dense metallic sounds. So look, it goes on and on and on, but like TY50 compressors, transient shapers, 2051 bit corruptors. Oh my God, it's so many cool things in here. And I just think like this is going to be something that people are going to feel, I want to get my hands on this. So we're talking not big dollars either for this. We're looking at, let me go back to my little notes here. The ALM is $299, so it's not too bad. It's not the cheapest one out there. It's not the most expensive either, so I think that's quite affordable. We've just had Ken join us, and oh my goodness me. He has got his finger up, which means he's not quite ready. But sing out, Ken. What we'll do is we'll go to the next news segment, and while Ken's organising his audio, and that is
Can
this
I
one.
say something first?
Oh yes.
About the previous one.
Go preface.
There are so many. Yeah, there are so many models now which can do all these kind of effects and work as CV tools and all that. I'm kind of holding back because I have the Lish and the Expert Sleepers Disting MK4, and if I have to learn more, then I forget some of the others. So I have to stay in. If I expand, I have to expand on what I have.
Yeah.
And have more of those. Else I forget to use them.
Good way to be. It's a good way to be. Yeah. All right. Let's hit the next button. Modal Cobalt5S. I think we've all seen this during the week. We can just quickly do the video on this one. I think it's ready to go. All right, it's getting a bit cheesy. Sorry, I just think that's a little bit too cheesy, that marketing video. But yeah, it's a little compact synth. It's got the Cobalt VA engine that Modal have brought out. They've released a few iterations of that already. $449. Really, really sort of like a portable synth. It might be right up the alley of people who like to perform and want to sort of be a backpack type performer. You know, fit the gear in the backpack, chuck it out.
It's one of the only mini keyboard synths that has an aftertouch key bed on it. So I know I have the Cobalt 8, which has got a really nice Fatar with aftertouch, and it's got a similar key bed in it. Unfortunately, the Cobalt5S is not patch compatible with the existing Cobalt 8 because it does not have reverb in the 5S. I guess they use a smaller DSP in it. I've actually got, I do have the Cobalt 8, which I love, and I haven't mentioned it, but I do have this YouTube channel. So because of this channel, I've actually got an Argon 8 coming to me from Modal that I'm going to actually feature on my. So if you haven't joined this channel, please plug myself. But I actually didn't really like Modal at first until I went to the Sweetwater showroom and played the Cobalt 8. And once I like from the YouTube channel reviews I'd seen of it, I thought, not for me. But once I got my hands on it, I thought, oh, I really love this thing. I have to have it. And now I love it. So, oh,
sorry about that.
My channel playing there.
Yeah, that was your channel. We'll definitely be checking your channel out in a sec. Don't worry about that.
Okay. But yeah, I think it's a really neat little thing. It's you can run it off USB power, nice and portable, nice key bed, great sound. It's a nice little engine.
Fantastic, awesome.
I agree, but I think they made a kind of scaled down version of Cobalt 8. But then I think it's too expensive for the target audience or target users. Because when it's scaled down, it's supposed to be something a beginner can start with, and most beginners don't have those money. At least I
true.
didn't.
And I think you're right. For that price, they're going to have a hard battle against the Hydrosynth Explorer, which is in that similar price point, and it's got a polytouch key bed, and it's got a much more powerful engine in it, and it's patch compatible with the full-size Hydrosynth.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
Well, I don't actually own a Cobalt, so it was actually nice, Scott, for you giving your thoughts on that, because I actually don't own one. I do have an Argon, but yeah, completely different synth altogether. I can say though that Modal do a really good job. So you know, even though I don't have a Cobalt, I have an Argon, and I actually highly rate that synth as well. I think it's got such a PPG sort of feel to it, like it's bringing out the essence of that. And one of the things I keep talking to a lot of people who've got the Cobalt, and you can back this up if you like, Scott, is that they do a really good job as a VA, and some synths don't do a good job as a VA. So
there's a lot of really helpful stuff in there, and like Henrik was saying about for beginners, things that on the Hydrosynth you have to know sound design, you have to have some background and know what you're doing in terms of subtractive synthesis. The Cobalt, it's easy to make bad sounds on the Hydrosynth, or worse, no sound, and the Cobalt kind of insulates you in its user interface from making some of those bad decisions, which is nice for someone that doesn't have as much experience.
That's a good point. Very, very good point. All right, what else have we got? We have got the next thing. This is getting crazy, right? Next thing is this, the Waldorf Iridium keyboard, which we had absolutely no idea what Waldorf were going on about in the last couple of days. But what they've done is they've brought out I guess let's call it an affordable version of the Quantum. I mean, they've already had the Iridium as a desktop module, right? Never had a quick keyboard version. It's got the Fatah keyboard on. It's quite a nice keyboard and everything. So I guess that's what their play is here. I'm kind of a bit confused. What do you guys think?
It's with poly aftertouch. There's a few things on it I don't understand, but I haven't tried it, so I can't say if it's a problem. But if you look at the LFO and envelope sections on the right, there's no button for switching to envelope 3 to 6. It seems they have cut those away from the desktop version. I think that's something I would really have used a lot if I would buy this. I think I will, but
yeah.
Besides that, it's exactly the same. It doesn't have the buttons. It has the keys instead, and some sequencer functions and such. So I look forward to try it sometime.
Now I know
I do as well.
I know Ken actually had, and I don't know if he still got it. He had an Iridium, I'm pretty sure, at one stage. He's paused at the moment, so I can't see if he's. I think he's trying to get his camera to work. So we'll get his opinion about this. But you are looking at about 1,500 euros difference between the Quantum, which is their kind of flagship, it does everything type synth, and the Iridium, which was kind of more a stab at getting something a little bit less packed in and more affordable for people. But the difference between the module and this is actually not much. You're talking about what, $28.99. So it's about 400 euros difference in price. And like you said, Henrik, they've left off a couple of features between that and the desktop module, which seems a bit strange. You'd think they would have put more on. They had more room.
Well, they've got that. I think it's a FATAR Poly Aftertouch keyboard on it. I saw a video. I think it was Matt Johnson. His Jamiroquai YouTube channels put up a video this week of him playing it for an hour or so, and he just went on and on about the key bed. So I guess they spend a lot of money on a key bed. They're going to have to save it a little somewhere else. Yeah,
semi-weighty polyphonic aftertouch. I mean, it is a nice keyboard. We can't really deny that. It's they had every right to brag about that, didn't they? I think it's called the TP8 SK or something. I think if you're wondering what the actual model is of it, yeah.
I am going to get an Iridium, but now I wonder if it should be the desktop or the keyboard version, because if it's if the I love the way that the keyboard works, the polyphonic aftertouch works on the Hydrosynth, and if it's not as good as that, then I will get the desktop version and use the Hydrosynth for it instead. But I have to try it before I know that.
Okay, fair enough. We're trying to get looks like Ken's got some dramas trying to get his other camera to work. Hi, Ken. I can't change that from my end, mate. That's something that you have to do at your end, and I don't have audio either. So it's all done at your end, yeah. There is don't forget, there is a little, like a settings gear icon on that call thing that you just click on, and that should bring up.
Check, 1, 2.
So your audio is coming through now.
There we go.
Yeah, so sorry about that. Let me also turn down because I'm sure I'm really hot. Is that any better?
You probably could come up a bit, actually. You were actually not too bad. Really? Yeah, come up a bit.
Okay, how's that?
Yeah.
Any better?
I think that camera angle is fine for now.
Well, yeah, it'll have to do. I've got all these other cameras, and for some reason, it's just not. It's not connecting to my Blackmagic, even though it says in the browser that it is, but on here it's not for some reason. Not to worry though. Not a big deal. Sorry for being late, by the way. I was up all night.
That's fine, mate. That's fine. Hey, quick on-the-spot question for you. You had the Iridium for a while, didn't you?
I still do, though it's about to be shipped off for repair, but it's here. It just doesn't. It won't boot.
Okay. Your thoughts on their new thing with the FATAR keyboard?
So I have to be a little bit political on it just because I'm affiliated with another company and all that, and I don't want it to sound like it. I just don't want it to come off in any, untoward way. I'll say this. So I have I think is it the 8 that's in the Prophet 10? I have the Prophet 10 over here. The TP8S, I believe, is in the Prophet 10. It might be the 9. I'm not sure. I can't remember the numbers off the top of the head so well. But they have a really great action. I really like how they feel. Something about polyphonic aftertouch that's different from regular aftertouch is, in channel aftertouch, you have the strength of your entire hands to play with, right? So if you play on like the regular FATAR keybeds, if you try to engage the channel aftertouch with your pinky, it can be a bit hard, right? It's kind of hard to do that. So on something like a Hydrosynth, like that's something that was like, worked on a lot to make sure that you can trigger everything just with a pinky, because if you're holding a chord and you only want to bend one note, like you need to be able to do that. So I'm interested to see how this feels. I haven't felt this keybed. I haven't felt their aftertouch. The aftertouch in the FATAR stuff, it's like it tends to take, like there's a long throw for the aftertouch. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I'm interested to see how it feels. As far as the actual,
I'm not affiliated with. Sorry, Ken.
Say again?
We get a delay here. I say I'm not affiliated with any manufacturer, so I'm free to say whatever I want. And I will say that if they don't get it as nice as the aftertouch is on the Hydrosynth, then it's not worth playing, because, like you said, like the Cobalt, this is the Fatara on the Cobalt 8X, where it has channel aftertouch, and you got to really put some weight into it and with a lot of travel before you actually get into that channel aftertouch. Whereas the Hydrosynth has the nicest, most intuitive and expressive aftertouch, because I find I'm using the aftertouch on it without even thinking about it. It's just kind of instinctive, and I realize only afterwards I look at my DAW and I see all this aftertouch data. I'm like, oh, I didn't even realize I was doing that, but I guess instinctively I'm playing it because it's there, and I just think, oh, I want to really feel this note, and that translates into pressure that it instinctively just picks up and acts upon.
Yeah.
And I don't want it to sound like I'm saying that it's not like that. Like, who knows? It could be. You know, I just don't know. I haven't played it, so it was just my initial reaction when I saw it. I was like, oh, like there was a few things that to me were just a little bit surprising. Like, I didn't really feel like they were emphasizing the polyphonic aftertouches as much in the video as, you know, as could be done. And the only reason why I say that is just it's a big deal. Like, I've seen comments online where people kind of slag off the importance of polyphonic aftertouch, and I'm like, then you haven't played it. Because I don't care what brand makes it. Like, even the old, I've got a SQ80, right? Which, you know, that aftertouch is not nearly as fine as what's on a Hydrosynth. But even with that, it's like the difference is night and day between, you know, having it and not having it. It's like a guitarist, like having his hands really stiff in the cold weather versus being warm, you know? Like, you can either express well or you can't. Like, so, like, I want to see more companies do it. Like, I want to see, I feel like it should be the standard, and I feel like it should have been the standard for a really long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
On the wall here behind me, I've got the JDXA and the System 8, and which one is it? The System 8, I think, doesn't have the regular aftertouch, and
Nope.
It's
no aftertouch. Yeah,
it's irritating because I love that synthesizer so much. Like,
it needs
and again,
aftertouch.
I'm not slagging it off because, like, I bought that like fairly recent. I bought the System 8 fairly recently. I'd played them for a while, but I wanted one again because it's a fantastic synthesizer.
Yeah.
But that key bed, I'm like, I control it from Hydrosynth because it's like
I do the same thing.
Takes something from sounding cool to sounding amazing.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. All right, we've got to keep going because we've got lots of news to get through. So, Henrik, just real quick.
Yeah. I was surprised too that they didn't emphasize the point on the polyphonic aftertouch more. Like they were trying to hide that it wasn't as good as we hope.
Hydrosynth.
Yeah, no. On the Iridium keyboard videos, I've seen a lot of videos on it already, and none of them are talking much about the polyphonic aftertouch. And when they demonstrated, we can't hear it. It's not like on the Hydrosynth.
Yeah. Oh, well, there you go. Best thing to do would be to go out and try one when they hit the shops. And why the hell did that not show up? Is my question. That should be showing up for some weird reason.
Hey, I do want to say just one last thing as a Iridium owner. So there's some changes to that keyboard that are really good. There's the layer buttons on there that are now dedicated. They've also spaced out the knobs around the side. On the Iridium, they're really close together. They're not terrible, but they're close together about like how it would feel on Eurorack. But on this, like, they look a lot more spaced out. So the layout has changed. I think there's some modulation buttons that are on there now that weren't there previously. So, you know, there's layout improvements for sure. And yeah, I'll say I really enjoy all the stuff that the Iridium can do. I don't use it as much as I wish I did because it just, I don't know, for some reason. But you know, I have to send it off for repair now, but hopefully I can get it back soon. But yeah, I just wanted to point out some of the other differences is that they have improved some of the interface stuff, which is interesting.
That's good to know.
But they left out the selector buttons for envelopes and LFOs. Is it easy to access? You know it because you have the original Iridium. Is it easy to access from the screen?
So you're saying that where the envelopes are, there's no buttons there, because on like the Iridium, there's just a select button in between.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's weird. Man, yeah, I don't know. That's really weird because I feel like you really kind of need that. For the LFO, there's just like a select detented knob, so it's pretty easy. For the envelopes, yeah, I mean it's weird because I really don't like using the touchscreen on it at all. It's not because the touchscreen isn't responsive, just because like I want to be tactile, like I want to be, you know, I have iPad if I want to use, you know, touchscreen stuff, you know.
Exactly.
But
yeah,
and I'm the same when I'm using the Force. Like I prefer to have hands-on control and be pushing buttons and that kind of thing.
Yep.
So that's a little bit of an irritant. And I do hope that you know, I have to mention this just because I went through it. I had 2 Iridiums, and I've had to fix the screen on both of them because the way that it was laid out is it's like a metal hole just cut in the chassis, and then that black bevel, I don't know if you can see it in this video, but the black bevel is just glued to that. And you know, it, like if it's not perfectly centered, for one, you'll see there's like a ribbon cable for the screen that you see through it. It just it doesn't look good. And the other times is that I had one of them where the screen was just completely ungluing. So I hope that they made that a little bit more rugged too, because if you're traveling with this thing and like it's in like a travel case or something for gigs, and you know how humid gigs can get, like that would worry me. So I'm hoping that stuff's all improved. But yeah, usability wise, I don't know how you would be changing. I mean, you can see them on the screen, but I can't even turn mine on. So,
but I mean, on a positive note, the Iridium does have a large screen on it, which is actually a plus, and that's something that Scott was actually saying before. So that is a plus for that synth. A lot of other synths don't have big screens on it, so at least, you know, they're stepping in the right direction.
When you were talking about the 5S, because the screen on that is literally, it's the size of your thumb. It's
yeah.
They say postage stamp size screens, and that one literally is the size of a postage stamp.
It is. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we have to move on because we've been giving that one a nice good old flog. That's fine. What about this? Is probably going to get people a little bit annoyed, but unfortunately, if you don't like Behringer stuff, there's going to be a big long list coming up now. But hey, if you do like Behringer stuff, it's good news for you. And I need to show it because I think some of these products maybe should have been remade by some of the people that originally make them. Maybe there's a market for it. This one is based on the Taurus, which Moog used to do, which is like a bass pedal synth. We're just gonna skim through all of these. They don't actually.
That one is being made, so.
They actually don't provide you with the bass pedals when you buy this. It's literally just the synth module itself, and they're saying that if you want the bass pedals, you have to get a MIDI bass pedal controller, which apparently there are some out there. You're looking at $199. These are US prices, by the way, if I say these. So we're going to go to the next one just quickly, and what we'll do is we'll recap them because otherwise we'll be here all night and all day. The next one is the Proton. This is probably more of an original synth of theirs than anything else that we're showing today. The Proton is a sort of second iteration of their Neutron. And if you just want to give a quick sort of overview of what this is compared to the Neutron, it's got sort of wave folding and an extra filter, an extra LFO. So it's kind of it's a bit better than what the Neutron was able to do, with a lot more patch points and modulation points on the right-hand side. So there'll be a few people happy about that. That one is going to be $299 when that hits the streets. So there's the Proton. Once again,
I saw lots of people being excited about this one.
Yeah, I think this one's probably the better release out of the lot. You've also got these little sort of, what are we going to call these? Are these kind of Korg Volca-esque type products, I think. Here's more. There's the Saturn. This is a play on the Jupiter sound. So this one is going to be, I think 3 voices or something, if I remember rightly.
But remember when you see the Saturn, there's coming a bigger version. So this is just the cheap version.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So just a quick one with this. This is all analog, and it's actually got an arpeggiator in it, and so it's a Volca-esque type product. What else we got? We've got the Hiro tribe. Now they kind of made a big deal about this on their Facebook post because they've got the original Korg MS-20 inventor. Now I'm going to absolutely borge this guy's name because I don't speak Japanese at all. But let's have a go. It's Hiroaki Nishijima, and he's the guy that invented the MS-20, and he's been working with Behringer. He also actually invented the, I think the monotribe, the original monotribe that came out from Korg as well. So here he is working with Behringer, and he's brought out the Hiro tribe, which is a nod for him, and also a bit of a bit of Korg-esque here. So this is kind of like a groove boxy type drum machine thing with a bit of a DCO synth in it. So it's interesting. We'll see how that one progresses. What else? The UB-1. This is a Oberheim. Be careful with this, guys. If you're going to be checking this out, think, oh my God, I'm going to get a cheap Oberheim. I mean, these things, when they hit the street, they're only going to be like $49 US. Like, these are very, very, entry-level market stuff. This is going to be based more on the Matrix 6 and the Matrix 1000 type voicing. So this is not going to be like your SEM or anything sort of, the early days. This is going to be more the more modern sort of voicing. So yeah, very basic synth, DCOs, all that sort of stuff. Classic 4-pole filter, 2 envelopes, 2 LFOs, 6 function buttons. Pretty basic stuff. There will be people that will love this sort of stuff. So moving right along. This one is probably going to crack a few heads. This is the Behringer 2XM. It's an Oberheim 2 voice. So obviously this is the SEM, clone, if you want to call it. I don't know really how to feel about this personally, considering that Tom is still around and still making stuff. But anyway, it's there. If people want to get it, you're going to be looking at dollar-wise for this, $2.99. So this is a more of a sort of pricier sort of product, if you want to call it that. From
I can't say, but I think when they gave the name back to Tom, that they also talked about this. I'm not sure. It's just a thought I have. Yeah,
you could be right. Look at one of the things that this has got. This has got the Eurorack sort of capabilities, so you can actually put this into Eurorack. It's got the patch points on the right, so this will appeal to people. I think this one might actually be something that people will be after. There's a couple more, so don't panic. There's the Behringer Deepmind app that's finally been updated. Now this will actually make a lot of people happy because the app actually broke, and if you upgraded your iPad or your iPhone, you couldn't actually use the app at all. So those who have got Deepmind 6s and Deepmind 12s will be happy now that they can go back in and muck around with... I think most people, when they use this, they were using the effects section, because actually the effects section in this is actually really nice. It makes it very, very easy for you to manage your things. That's free, so you can get that now through the App Store. And the last one, this one I literally had to take this on the end because that last thing was going to be the Deepmind 12 app, but just happened within about 30 minutes of the show starting. They've released another synth called the Behringer Model 15. I don't really know a lot about this other than what they said in their Facebook post. So it's, it's kind of like a Moog-ish type synth. It's a bit more than the Model D, more patch points, more inputs and outputs. Yeah. So let's wrap it all up, and I can quickly, go backwards and forwards to those models. Does anyone want to make a comment about any of the Behringer stuff that I just listed there? And
The
more than welcome
little
to.
tiny key bed, the little synthesizers that they're selling, I think they have them priced at $49 and $99. They have come out and said that their intention in doing that is to introduce synthesizers to new people who have no background in synthesizers at all. So they're looking for these things to show up under Christmas trees and things. It's not a huge cost of entry. So for people that have no experience with synthesizers and might be interested in it, this might be their gateway drug that brings them into this world and ends up like this.
Scary. Yeah. How do you feel about those little products? I mean, obviously that wouldn't be something you would get if that's the case.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I look at it and think, okay, yeah, I could get a Jupiter voice, but I can do that on my System 8. Or a lot of these can be replicated with soft synths. So, and I looked at it and thought, do I have a use case for that? Would it be something I would take? Well, you can't really play it with a little membrane key bed, so you'd be using it as a sound module. So for me, it doesn't really have a purpose, but I could definitely see, like, as a kid, if I was like a 12-year-old kid and I got that under the tree, I'd be fascinated with it. I'd be sitting there and spending all my hours playing with it. So I think there's definitely a market for it.
Yeah, and you look at the price of Volcas, which tend to seem to be the sort of competitive product to that. They are actually quite considerably more expensive, aren't they? So what's a Volca now? Sort of 150 US versus what, 50 US? So it's like, it's crazy money difference. Anyone else want to make some comments about the other Behringer products?
I want to make just a couple of quick things because I usually don't talk on that stuff. But I'll just say a couple of quick things. One is, and I'm bringing this up because I feel like I just now realized this. So there was a lot of comments in a lot of the Facebook threads about the look and design of those things and of the small ones, the 49, and how goofy they looked, right? But if you look in the pictures, I think they're really small, like smaller than you even think when you're looking at them. If you look at like the size of one of those jacks and you look at those boxes, I really think those boxes are like, close, not even Volca size, but maybe closer to like Monotron size, like really small.
Yeah, we commented last week on the size of the MIDI.
It looks that way.
If you look at the MIDI port on it, you can actually get an idea of how big they are. Because the MIDI port gives it away, right?
I think they look so goofy because the picture is blown up so big that it kind of changes your perspective a little bit. And that's why it looks, imagine if that thing was like, the size of a Volca, if not bigger, and then it would be really weird. But I think because those pots are like the really, really tiny ones that are on the Monotron.
Yep.
I think that it probably in person doesn't look as goofy as it looks in pictures. So that's cool. And at $49, like, I mean, it would be something goofy to play with. And I'm all for that kind of stuff, as far as like goofing off with that kind of stuff. I don't know that any of this stuff is going to sound anything like what the graphics try to appeal to. So on that side of things, I'm kind of like, did you need to do that? Like, it doesn't really, like, I don't feel like that's actually a true selling point on any of these. Like, nobody's going to buy those and expect them to sell like, a Jupiter 8 or anything like that. But that's fine. Like, I feel like just, to me, like, it's just weird using colorways and stuff like that to as a selling point or whatever, or advertising point, whatever it is, when they could be unique and interesting on their own. And the only one out of all those that really kind of makes me feel like a little bit skeeved, but at the same time, I kind of want it. And I'm going to see if I can I share my screen here? I forget.
You can. Yep.
How do I do that?
There's a screen sharing icon. It looks like a screen. It's a very bad look. It looks like a screen icon.
I don't know why it's not.
But
it's not letting me actually select the screen. But anyway.
While you're doing that, Ken, just see if you can get your screen happening. And I can see you on the other screen here. So I just thought we'd grab a couple of chat comments because I thought there were some good ones there. Geert says, not for sausage fingers, which is a good one. Some people are saying that they think the Hiro tribe will be good because if it does have that mono tribe delay feature in it, and that was actually really quite sought after. I remember when that Monotribe did come out, a lot of people did actually enjoy that. So yeah, a couple of good comments there about that.
The size makes me wonder, are they thinking about launching the circuit boards in Eurorack too? It could be.
Yeah.
Why they make them that small?
Yeah, it's a good point, Henry, because for me, one of the things that frustrated me about the Volkers were the form factor of the Volkers were really kind of, in a way, unusable in the sense that they were just it. There was nothing else like it. And then as a result, you had to kind of, embrace that form factor. They, I even remember saying in one of my videos years ago that they should have made the Volkers so that you could actually take them out of the little, plastic cases and put them into Eurorack. But yeah, but Roland do that as well with the Boutiques, didn't they? So, you can't really sort of win. Yeah. I think what Scott said is
someone who knows some, I say my question is someone who knows some things about electronic design is how are they managing to get stable quality analog circuitry running off a 5-volt USB connection, power connection?
Yeah.
That's a significant challenge.
There's been, I mean, from my point of view, I'm not an electronic engineer, but I do dabble as a hobbyist in this stuff. And there has been a lot of headway in electronic engineering where the low voltage world has excelled. So you'll be surprised what actual things that they can make now that can run off low voltage, where probably 5 years ago that didn't even exist. So yeah.
And I'm saying that knowing that most of their analog clones are physical circuit clones, and I was just kind of assuming that's what they're doing here, but maybe that's not the case.
Yeah, you could be right. I mean, look, when they did the System 100 Eurorack module clone, and that was a pretty big project for them, because if you look at the original Roland System 100 modules, they were a lot bigger. If you ever looked at the circuitry behind the boards, and they were really chunky, through-hole, big components. So they would have, in terms of an electronic engineering point of view, they would have had to have redesigned the whole voltage and amperage type current sort of circuit with that. Would have been a pretty big job just for that, just to get it to shrink down to Eurorack. So yeah, and also Eurorack's power is less, So yeah, you're right, absolutely right. Ken, did you manage to share your screen, or do you want us to keep going?
No, yeah, I can't share it. I don't know why. There's no icon for me. But anyway, yeah, so what I wanted to show though is, what's that?
Did you want me to show something from here? Yeah,
send it to you.
Go for it.
Let me see. Let me just drag this. I'm gonna actually drag it to what is it? Facebook Messenger for you.
Yep. Do that.
And that should hopefully do it. Oh, I gotta scroll back up. Here it is. So I was recently helping a buddy of mine out, and let me send this to you. And this is a very well-known hip hop producer, but he has been bitten by the analog bug in a way that I have never seen, and it's a wonderful thing.
I'm just looking at it now.
This was the latest project. So if you notice, can you share that?
Yeah, just give me a sec. I'm just putting it in now.
Sure. So I really want the SEM thing, even though I feel a little bit skeeved out because I'm like it looks so much like a product that Tom had in the works. You know what I mean? When I interviewed him at NAMM, he literally had Eurorack SEMs, but they never came out. So on that side, it's a little bit weird, but at the same time, I'm like, I really want it. If you notice in this picture, that's 13 SEM altogether. So that's a 4-voice with a 4-voice on top of a chroma with a 2-voice on top of 6 other SEMs.
Yep.
And there's even 2 other SEMs in that room. And yeah, that's it. It's been interesting. And Kent knows who this is as well. Kent was very nice and has helped out along the way. So thank you, Kent.
That's a lot of voices there. I'd definitely make Eddie Van Halen jump in his grave. That's for sure.
This project's not even finished. I mean, when this is done, it's going to be really cool. Like that kind of reminds me of what.
do you remember the Slim Fatties that came out when Moog did the Slim Fatties, and people were buying like 10 of those Slim Fatties, and I think the keyboard version was the little fatty, wasn't it? So they were bringing out they were buying the Slim Fatties and they were racking them all up, and then they were getting the little fatty, and then they were like daisy chaining them through. I don't know. They had some special MIDI thing, and they were just like, "Oh, look at us! We've got this massive polyphonic Moog synth." Yeah, I love the SEM stuff. It's cool.
Yeah, so I want that just because, for one, obviously, like, I love doing A/B comparisons. Like, as useless in a way as they are, because they are useless. Let's not get it twisted. Like, when you're like, oh, I want this synth to sound exactly like that synth, it's like, well, then use that synth. In truth, like, when you're actually making music or exploring a synth, like, you should always just play to whatever that synth's strengths are and just enjoy it, But I like the nerdy, geeky aspect of just like, I love comparing this minor difference in this filter versus this one versus that one. Like, I'm a nerd like that. I literally was up till, what did I say? What was it? 1:30 in the morning last night.
When you messaged me.
Doing exactly that before I went to bed. And then of course I was woken up all through the night by my dogs. But so I want that stuff for that reason, is really just to kind of like do like super useless comparisons, because it's fun to me. But yeah, I mean, some of these products look really interesting. Like the SEM one, the Model 15 looks really great. The Proton looks fantastic.
Yeah.
That, at least that's something new, like completely new. And
Yep.
I'm all for that. Like, that's what I really want to see, is them doing just new stuff.
Yeah, I didn't actually catch it. Are they still using the same oscillator chips, or the same as the SH101? Is it the 3341 or whatever it is? Because that's what they were using in the Neutron.
The 3340 oscillator.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what the Proton's using. I suspect it probably is. But yeah, I mean, I like the idea of designing new stuff and doing that kind of thing. Beyond that, yeah. It's a whole lot of stuff. Who knows when it actually gets here, though? Because I think they even said that there was, a lot of delays as far as getting the chips and all that kind of stuff, which everybody's dealing with right now.
Yeah, all of those Behringer products they released, every single one of them has said, we'll start shipping them as soon as we get the chips.
Which could be a year.
Yeah, which in a way I'm kind of like, well, I don't know. Like, why find out about something and then forget about it, and then 6 months later it comes out or whatever? Like, I'm kind of more of the mindset of like, show it when it's about to hit stores.
Shipping. Yeah, because actually that's a really good point, Ken. Because like, there's modules that I'm getting from Behringer at the moment, because I'm building the 2500 stuff, and they're just sneaking into stores. Do you know what I mean? Like, they released the knowledge about it like a year, 2 years ago, whatever it was that they were doing it. But they didn't have them available until, within the last few months, and they're sneaking into stores, and you kind of don't really know. Like, or you just go to your local store and you go, "Oh, you've got that module now." Okay, it's kind of weird, isn't it? Like,
it is weird.
Yeah,
anyway.
Anyway.
It's weird because I felt the same way when I was looking at some of that stuff, because I was like, oh, maybe I use a few of these modules to kind of fill out some blanks that I wanted to fill, and but I had no idea when that stuff was going to be in, and I'm certainly not going to give my information to certain sales sites that will just keep calling me for no reason.
Yes. We're watching you, Sweetwater. I can say that because I'm in Australia. They don't exist here. I just had a quick look at the Proton graphic. I can bring it back up for you guys if you want, but there's no mention of the 3340 oscillator chip on the actual panel like they used to do it on the Neutron. So I'm not sure. Maybe it's not. Someone in the chat might be able to tell us. We haven't forgotten about your chatties. We love you. Don't go. No, just kidding. What we're going to do now is we're going to bring the Hearing Challenges show in now, because I think that news segment was massive, and I think we need to do the main topic now. And if we get time at the end, we've got a couple of other things that we can do as part of our main regular topics, like Price Watch and Name That Synth. They're all ready to rock and roll, but let's do this main topic now, and that is graphic time. Yes, Ludwig is sponsoring the show, if you're wondering. He's whacked his hair, he's like put his head on the side of the piano, and he's listening in from his grave. I don't know. You guys, I want you guys to run this because I'm going to be honest with you. I can't really talk at all from experience other than what other people have told me. So I'll probably start off with you, Henrik, because you were really big on wanting this to be a show topic. So I guess maybe let's see where you want to lead with this.
Can you repeat that? I didn't turn up my hearing aid. Oh. Well,
boom, boom.
Lots of us have hearing problems. Some because of heritage, and some because of hearing things too loud. Let's start with Scott. Scott, you made a video on your hearing.
Yeah, I did.
Can you?
Well, I'll give you a little bit of background. I worked in nightclubs in Toronto. I started out with a small mobile DJ company that was created to do high school dances strictly because, well, we wanted to get girls. So, and we became successful because we were playing music that people wanted to hear, and that kind of grew to the point where as I got older, I transitioned into nightclubs, and I started playing in nightclubs full time. And this is again in Toronto, so I was working in some fairly large nightclubs in and around the Toronto area for a number of years. And I did do a video on this on. I don't know if I can put that on here. So I have this video on here. I basically tell you this entire story. So if you want to hear this whole story rather than me boring everybody with it now, you can just go the Synth Stuff channel and click on that video. So basically, I ended up in clubs where, huge dance clubs, and you have big main speakers on the floor, but then you're trying to beat mix off that, and you have your headphones, but it's too far away because it's a big club, so you have a time delay. So then, to overcome that, you have a stage monitor. In the stage monitor in the booth, you have to have louder than the floor speakers so you can hear it, and then you have to have your headphones louder than that. So my ears would ring for days afterwards, and so I've done myself permanent hearing damage, and it's to the point where I was having severe trouble hearing people in crowded or loud situations. So when I would go to a restaurant with friends, I'd be sitting in the restaurant and I'm basically by myself because there's so much background noise. What you lose is not the ability to actually hear. Like if you're one-on-one, I can talk with you just fine. But if there's any kind of noise, you lose dynamic range in the vocal spectrum because that's the most sensitive portion of your hearing. And once you lose that dynamic range, you lose the ability to pick out individual voices. So if you're in a crowded room, you can't hear anything. It's just noise. And it's very isolating. So, far too late, I started protecting my hearing, and I don't go anywhere loud. I have hearing protection with me. I mean, I got my in-ears now for any kind of live work. I've got, what do we got here? I can bring it up. Let's see here. I've got these eargasm earplugs that I don't know if anyone's ever seen before. Instead of foam earplugs, these eargasm earplugs they have a channel inside with a diaphragm that kind of allows you to have the music comes through. And unlike foam earplugs that they really kind of muffle the sound, these eargasm earplugs, they allow full spectrum of sound to go through, but it just brings it down by 20 decibels or so on. So if you can go to concerts, you can wear these eargasm earplugs and you still hear the sound as it's meant to be heard, but you're not damaging your hearing. So I mean, I know it's too little too late, but I do really, really viciously protect my hearing, or what's left of it now. And it's got to the point where now I do have hearing aids, and I have those in, and they correct for the deficiency that I have, which is again in the human vocal range, because that's what our ears are designed to be able to hear. And that helps greatly when I'm in a situation in a restaurant or something like that. It helps you pick out the individual voices better. It doesn't fix it. It definitely helps it. So that was a little bit of an adjustment. For the first while when I had them, I wasn't able to mix. When I would take them out when I was working on music because I wasn't used to that abnormal curve in frequency response, and so my mixes were coming out sounding terrible. But over time, I think I've gotten more and more used to it. Where most of the time now, I just mix with them in either with just my studio monitors or with headphones on.
Fantastic.
So that's my experience.
Yeah, no, that's really good.
Can I ask Scott some questions on that? Do you mind?
Sure.
Let me just let me just put you guys up together. So I'll get Scott, and then I'll get Ken. Let me just change Henrik to Ken, and then we are.
This is like shuffling cards. I love it.
There you go.
So, and I sort of fixed my camera.
You did.
But question is,
it's a nice haircut, by the way.
Yeah, I had to cut off the mop top. It was just going crazy. Midlife crisis is almost over. So one of the questions that I had about this is because I deal with the same thing where it's the dynamic range and it's exactly as you described. And for a lot of the same reasons too, those early club days and doing shows, and you're young and you don't care and you go for it, and it's like all the old guys will tell you all the time, protect your hearing, protect it. Nobody does, and
nobody does.
You end up regretting it, and then you're like, well, would it have been different? Yeah, it would have been different. You were standing next to a big stack of monitors. But
I can remember when we had. Sorry, I was going to say when we had our mobile DJ company, we had these massive Cerwin Vega Earthquake subwoofers. Remember the folded horn subwoofers? Those huge.
Oh yeah.
And we would have kids crawl inside those things.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Crazy.
There was a guy that at our shows, and I swear, if you're in this area, you know who I'm talking about. He goes by the name Jerry Pumpkinhead, and a lot of people don't know why he got the name Pumpkinhead. And the reason, like, he's like a local legend. The reason why he got the name Pumpkinhead was because at one of these shows, he was standing with his head in the woofer, and a buddy of mine on stage is like, "Hey Jerry, get your pumpkin head out of that woofer." So for some reason, this was like a normal thing back then. But yeah, so the question that I have is really in regard to the hearing aid aspect of it is, one, do you notice any kind of is there like a latency? How does that work for you? And do you feel like, is there a mental bias getting over dealing with that crutch for you,
Right. As far as latency, I can answer. That was actually something I was really interested in, and there is none. And there are a couple of different types of hearing aids. There's one type that is mostly it's an in-ear, and it completely replaces all the incoming sound with what it plays through its transducer. And there's the type that I have that actually has a transducer that goes into your ear that has holes in it, so you're hearing ambient sound, and then it just boosts the sound that you're hearing in the specific frequencies. And because of that, there can't be any latency, or else you get like a comb filter effect. So
exactly.
However they do it with this digital circuitry, the latency is zero. So there's really nothing that you notice in that way. And it also gives you the benefit that they're Bluetooth. So it's like you have permanent Bluetooth headset in. I can walk around with my phone and I can play music and nobody even knows that I'm listening to it. It drives my wife crazy because she'll be talking to me and she's like, "God damn, will you turn that off? I'm trying to talk to you." And she doesn't, or she'll talk to me for 30 seconds and then she'll realize that I'm not hearing her because I'm listening to something on, and so that's the technology is there that you can actually have that. And it's not as high a quality because it's not designed to play music. It's tuned for vocal frequencies, so it's not the ideal sound for playing music, but it definitely works. And for phone calls or YouTube videos or whatever, it works just fine. Mine came from, and the industry of hearing aids is being revolutionized right now because so many of us at a younger age are requiring them, that more and more retailers are actually starting to sell them. And now the largest seller of hearing aids in North America is now Costco. And the reason for that is they went to one of the largest manufacturers of, which is Phonak, had them design their own hearing aid just for them, and they sell it at a quarter of the cost of other providers. And so now that they have these relatively inexpensive, and I say relative, they're still about $2,000 or $1,000 to $2,000 depending on what type, because they've come into the realm of something more affordable, more people are seeing that as an option. I know my friend Rob, who's part of Slave the Square Wave, I think he's watching right now. Hi, Rob. He once I got mine, and he was saying, yeah, I have to do the same thing, because he's the same as me. Our ears ring 24/7. Like when you walk out of a loud concert and your ears are ringing like that, mine are like that 24/7. So, and it definitely helps with that. When you put them in, it cuts down that ringing noise. And it's psychoacoustic masking that causes that. But I know if it's dead silence, I really hear the ringing. And if there's noise like an ocean, you hear nothing. So just by having them in, it seems to cut down the tinnitus. As for the social or the psychological factor, the fact that for the most part, you can't see them. I know my hair is kind of long now, but once they're in, nobody really knows that they're there.
Well, I was more referring to your own bias, as far as like, okay, now I'm mixing, but I'm mixing through essentially a microphone. Like, did that affect how you looked at your own mixing ability and that sort of thing?
I wondered that at first, and I had people say, well, you know what? You'd never know, because your mixes are they sound really good. And it's hard to say, because I know that I have adjusted, and I mean, if I use a reference track for a mix sound, whether I have my hearing aids or not, I'm still mixing against that reference track. So that's what I've learned to hear as this is what a mix should sound like. So if I'm making a mix, I know, okay, well, I've got, this is masking that, I've got too much mid here, and that knowledge is gained from the years that I've spent doing it, and those years have been spent doing it with the deficiency that I have. So my brain has adapted, and I've learned that's what the mix should sound like. And that's probably why I had difficulty when I first got them, because all my mixes sounded terrible. The mid-range was so high, and I started thinking, is this what my mixes sound like? Do they actually sound this terrible? And so I asked some people, I said, do you hear this? And they said, no. So I realized at that point that it was simply my brain, because it was hearing a whole lot more mid-range in those vocal range frequencies that it was used to. It was saying, hey, that's way too high, because it's not what you're used to hearing. And now that I've had them for quite a time, I've grown accustomed to that. And so when I hear the mix, it sounds normal to me. But it's not, you're not working in a vacuum where it's just an objective, here's the sound, here's what you're listening to. It's related to what you know to be right. And if what you know to be right is what you hear with your deficient hearing, then theoretically that should be correct when you actually mix it that way to sound the same way. And I say that with a reference track. Like I will do that often. I'll say, I really like this song, and I want it to sound somewhat like that. So I'll listen to that and see what kind of EQ curve did they use? What kind of compression did they use here? And I'll try to match that. And because I'm matching it using the hearing that I have, it more or less comes out the same, or at least I hope.
Yeah, I was going to ask the
hearing.
same thing, actually. I was going to say to you, because of the hearing deficiencies, do you find yourself using visual tools to to be able to assist you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Whether that's laziness, but I will often, if I'm mixing, I'll be using spectrograms or just even waveforms. A lot of the time, I can just pick things out. Yeah, I might not be able to hear what I'm seeing here, but I know it's there because I can see it. So I'll just clip that waveform here or that sort of thing. So that's definitely something I do rely on in the DAW.
Yeah. Now,
I
Henrik,
also,
do you want me to show you all? I want to show you a thing that you shared with me. So this is your, this is Henrik's own personal hearing. What do you call this? An audiogram, right? So this shows where the crosses are. So that you got your left ear and your right ear. So this shows where your deficiencies are, and obviously the frequencies are going from left to right, lower to higher, and the decibel is your range. So Henrik, do you want to explain that a little bit? Like what's actually happening here? Like what are we supposed to be seeing here?
this is something I'm born with. It wasn't as bad in my youth, but it's gotten worse and worse. It's just in my genes. And it's a drop at 8K. If you show the audiogram again, I can explain how it should look. Between the two black lines, let's see if I can put my finger there. No, I can't hit it. Between the two black lines, 0 dB and 20.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the normal hearing range. So you should be about there if you have normal hearing. And to me, this gives problems when people are talking. I can't hear the sounds and such. So
the higher sounds,
Sibilance.
So I misunderstand what people are saying, which is funny sometimes. I want to I want to add something to the mixing Scott talked about.
Yep.
I mix on both speakers, headphones, and actually many different headphones. Some bad ones, which enhances some frequencies I usually can't hear. And sometimes when I do a mix, I find out by using some bad headphones that this is really bad. That's a frequency there I have to lower. I wouldn't have found out if I only listened on the good speakers. So
I do the exact same thing.
That's my way. Yeah. I have tried to use my audiogram to make an EQ on the monitor output in Cubase. But it sounds terrible, so I don't use that. And perhaps it's just about getting used to, but
it
I can't get
absolutely is.
used to
And
that.
there's both a plugin that does exactly that, where it will analyze your hearing response and try to compensate for it. And I actually have, I looked for it. I haven't used it in a few years. I don't know where I've done with it, but I have a little module that does the exact same thing, where you can put your audiogram into it and it will create a curve that compensates for it, that you can run audio through, analog audio, and it will actually apply that curve. But again, when you listen to it, because it's not what you're used to hearing, it sounds terrible because you have this massive mid-range boost that you're not used to hearing. And I have the same. I've got these MDR 7506 Sony headphones that I use for details like that, because they don't sound great for listening to music, but they're extremely flat and they really bring out details. So if there's something I can't hear on my monitors, I'll pick those and listen to it. And then I have my open backs that I'll do just for, like mastering and that sort of thing. And one thing you did say, you mentioned, was talking about sibilance and not being able to make out the tss and the ch. And I didn't realize how much I had been lip reading people to assist being able to talk and communicate, until COVID happened and everyone started wearing masks and I couldn't lip read, and not only was I couldn't see their lips anymore, but the sound was muffled, and it made things so much more difficult. And plus, when you have hearing aids and then you put a mask on, it's awful because they're always getting in the straps of the mask or like rubbing against the hearing aids and creating sound. It's such a hard life.
Oh,
Yeah,
feel
I
for you
totally
guys.
agree.
I really do.
About software optimizing for your own personal hearing, I have these headphones which uses a software on my phone where I've made a hearing test, and they sounds great. They are terrible to wear; they sit too hard on the head, but the audio is great. Else I use reference for my speakers and headphones, but sometimes I change profiles to hear it wrong, just to do the mixing different. Yeah.
Right. I wish I had more terrible sounding systems that
What happened? We lost. Did we lose Scott? Did we?
Yeah, we lost the States, I think.
Well, we have. We've lost the whole of the United States. Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't need to add you. You literally will just come in.
But Scott
okay.
said something.
Okay, Ken's coming using the wrong number. Hang on a sec. That's what happened. Ken knocked Scott out. I know exactly what's been going on. Ken's trying to get to share his screen, and he's just knocked Scott out by using the wrong number. Oh my goodness me! Give me a sec. I'll have to sort this out. You say what you need to say while I sort this out.
Yeah, Scott talked about the COVID with the masks. It was a problem to me too. We have some the state pays our hearing aids, and we can renew it each 4th year. My previous hearing aids were the doctors who adjusted them were terrible. So I wasn't using them after 2 years, and I had to wait till now to get some new ones. So I didn't use them during COVID, so I didn't have the trouble with with the masks, but I had trouble hearing what or understanding what people said because I couldn't see their mouth. You use it really much, actually.
Yep.
You're muted, Rance. Rance,
Yeah,
you're
we have
muted.
no audio for
muted. Super. Oh,
Sorry about that. That's my fault.
maybe we just can't hear him.
I actually find with the COVID with the masks, I actually find that what you lose in communication is you lose the visual expressions. You know, when you're talking to people,
That's a big part for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of hard.
But I totally agree, man. That the lip syncing aspect of it is huge.
From eyes.
It is hard to from the eyes. Yeah. Ken, did you manage to?
Yeah, I got it fixed now. So thanks. I needed to use that beta link.
Yep.
So I'm gonna try and show this. I don't know how well it'll show because I've tried sharing this before, and because of the way that this stuff lays out, it doesn't screen share very well. So you're probably gonna get some weirdness. But let's see if we can't do it. So here we go. So there's that, of course. But I always have my. So right now I'm just kind of messing with some synthesizers right now, and I always have an FFT scope up at all times. I've learned the lesson that, creating sound packs and whatnot, I'm 42 now, and I cannot hear above 16K. It's just not happening. And on a really good day, when I can hear 16K, it's much quieter than it is for other people. So I don't trust my upper range hearing where, most people can't really hear 16, 17K very well. But those who can, it will drive them insane. So I'm always checking, that kind of stuff. The other thing that I like to do is, let me see if I can pull this up real quick. It's all jacked up because I had to reboot. But anyway, so I have this software that I use. It's called Element. And what it is it's a modular environment. And what I like to do is I have multiple different plugins that I'll run in here for visualizing, right? So I don't know how well I'll be able to show this right now because usually I have it hooked up to Synths, but I run Insight, and Insight will let me do my spectrum, and it'll do a waterfall display as well. And then I'll also have Kirchhoff EQ, which has my favorite FFT scope on here. It just looks the best.
That's so
and it's
good.
really oh shoot, I accidentally hit the wrong button. So the thing that's really nice about Kirchhoff EQ is also that you see, like, when you move around, it'll tell you exactly what frequencies you're at, and then I can click it and I can make a point, so like if I'm right here at, boom, I have a point right there, and I don't mess with the EQ on it, and I'm not even sending the audio of this out. I'm just using it as an FFT scope, because it's a very high resolution one, and it's just, it's very nice to look at.
Yeah, it's like a non-destructive measurement tool, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So, and if you look at the routing here, move this stuff out of the way. It's, if I was to send it from here to my output, I could do that, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not. I'm just sending it there for monitoring things and just able to kind of look at things. And this is, you can use these all in a DAW, of course, but I don't always want to work in a DAW. So this is, like, I use this, and it's just a really, really easy way to look at things. And, this software is also cool because it's completely modular. You can throw whatever you want in here, synthesizers, effects, whatever, and then chain them however you want, which is awesome. But so I always keep like a suite of visualizing things up so that, my hearing isn't completely terrible right now. Like, it could be a whole lot worse, but I'm 42, and I'm just aware of the fact that as you get older, your hearing changes. There's no way around that. It's just life. And if you don't accept it, you're going to, have problems. A lot of people, I think, I've just been in the room of a lot of people that get, I don't know why my video went away. That's weird. I've been in the room where a lot of people just get very antsy about their hearing, and they get an ego about it, and it's like, oh, I couldn't possibly have hearing issues, blah blah blah. And it's like, well, you do. So you should probably be aware of it, and you should look out for your customers, especially, because you release a sound pack, and every sample has this 16K like needle in your fans' ears, and you're selling to people a lot younger than you are. And it's really embarrassing. It happened to me one time, and I never let it happen again.
Yeah.
And I pulled that product, by the way. You won't find that product on the market.
I think the point is actually, I was just going to say, Scott, just quickly, the point that Ken makes about using those visual tools, I think even if you didn't have hearing loss or hearing issues, are still really solid things for sound design and for producing and mixing. I think everyone should be using tools like that. Sorry, Scott, you go ahead.
I've actually got, first off, I've just realized that Ken's got a nice delay and reverb on his audio chain there, and I thought, oh, I should have done the same thing set up. I didn't think of it at the time. But I've got actually a second monitor over here that is dedicated to, it's my Cubase supervision screen, and that's exactly what I have. I have spectrogram, I've got a waterfall on there, and EQ, and it's basically just so I can look at and see what it is that I might not be hearing. And the thought, and Ken's comment that he uses it even when he's not doing mixing work, I thought that's actually a really good idea. I could have Cubase open, just route the audio through it, and even if I'm just doing sound design, I can still look up there and see exactly what I'm doing, regardless of whether or not I'm actually recording it or not. And that would really help in doing the sound design to prevent that kind of thing from happening. That's actually a really good idea.
That's exactly why I do it is and also it really helps with sound design when you're looking at like I keep oscilloscopes up too, but oscilloscopes will show you a wave shape. The FFT will actually show you if you're really like making the same kind of harmonics and everything. So that becomes super important when you're doing sound design. So yeah, it's great to have a reference up there, and I really just don't want to always be in the DAW. I want to be flying around the room and kind of doing whatever. And so, I just keep it like that. And with that Element software, you can route anything to anywhere. So it's like I can route all of my outputs or all of my inputs from my Motu into like one plugin, and then I can see it, or sometimes what I'll do is I'll route the left channel of one synth and the right channel of another synth into a plugin, and then A/B it that way. It's helpful to see the sound. You should always use your ears more, but use that as a backup to make sure like nothing's getting past you that maybe shouldn't. Or on the flip side of the spectrum is the really, really low frequency stuff. I have a sub in here, and I have I love my monitor setup. I use the JBLs, and they're not an expensive monitor setup. I had Focal in here before. These measured out to be better than those, and these are a quarter of the price. I also have the KRKs in here, which honestly I got in for a review, and I kind of don't love them now. I feel like they completely lose the low end, which is hilarious because they have such a reputation for being overhyped in the low end. But the truth is the latest generation is the exact opposite. And that's super useful, though, that contrast, because my JBLs have a sub, and I can check low frequencies and everything. And then I flip a switch and I'm listening through the KRKs, which have like this scooped low end. And I can hear like how it's going to sound in a totally different environment. But I use the FFT to tell me, okay, well, like, why do I have this big bump below like 45 hertz that nobody's going to hear, tailor that stuff in and kind of like rein in the presets or whatever, so that I'm not using all this energy in really, in a really low end spectrum that nobody else is hearing, like that's just waste headroom.
Yeah, guys,
I like that. And
I want to get some questions in.
I was going to say, I have the JBLs here as well, and for the exact same reason, because I really like the sound, and I too have a sub that I just have a separate send on my mixer down here, so I can knock it out. So if I'm working on something and I can knock that sub out and make sure that I'm not mixing something that's got a huge missing scoop out because I'm compensating for the sound of the sub, but I can also bring it in to make sure that LFE is there that I need.
Beautiful. Now, guys, we asking the chatties, because there's quite a lot of few people watching this show, and I've asked them in the chat if they've got questions to just highlight my name at Ranzee and then put your question. So Future World Machines has asked, if a large proportion of the population has some degree of hearing loss, should you take that into account when you do your mix? It's a good question.
No. Because everyone is hearing differently. So you if you go for one small group of people who have a problem in the 8K, then you are not hitting the other groups. So no, it's up to the listeners to have their equipment tuned for their ears.
Yeah, good point. So
I had a friend growing up whose sister was deaf and went to Gallaudet University in Washington, D.C., which is a hearing impaired school. And we went to a dance there. Believe it or not, they had dances at the deaf school. And they basically had a sound system that was only subwoofers. And so the kids would be in there dancing, and they just danced to the beat that they would feel from the subwoofers in their chest. So of course they wanted music that was bass heavy, and that's what they played.
Yeah, the vibrations. Yeah. I've heard that too. I think that's really cool. That kind of warms your heart when you hear stuff like that. Like they're still able to work ways of enjoying the things that they can't normally enjoy. Yeah, it's cool. Definitely chuck your questions in the chat, because if you're worried, even if there's a little inkling right now that you're thinking, maybe I might be experiencing some hearing loss, my recommendation is definitely go and see an audiologist and or just your GP or whatever you guys call it in your country, your general practitioner doctor. They'll give you a referral to see an audiologist, and you can have that hearing test done. Usually in most countries, they're actually free. The government usually provides them for free. I don't know what it's like in the US, but in Australia, they're free. And I know that in the UK, they're free.
In the US, however, in the US, we have Costco, and Costco will do your test for free with no questions asked, no requirements to buy anything. So yes, you can go to an audiologist and pay to have it done. But if you're just curious whether you actually have hearing deficiency or not, go to your local Costco, make an appointment. They'll do it for free, give you all the results, and give you any options, and you can walk out of there and not owe a cent.
So while we're waiting for questions to come in, one of the questions that I had during the week was about tinnitus and basically the technology that they're moving with trying to cure that is, I'm hearing that it's quite interesting that they're using that the waveform cancelling technology that you would actually go in as a person who suffers from tinnitus. They would put you with headphones on, and they would play frequencies to try and find out what the ringing frequency is in your ear, and then they would build these hearing aids for your ears that would play the waveform back and would cancel the ringing sound out using the inverse waveform phasing or whatever the technology that they do. I just wondered if you guys kind of knew a little bit about that.
I don't know about
heard of
that, but about tinnitus, there are many therapies, many ways to treat it. Some do some place the tones at the frequency you have the tinnitus, and if you hear it a lot, if you get those tones played a lot, then the ringing should get lower. That's
I read about
therapy,
this in a psychology or not psychology, neurology article, and that's exactly what it is. It's because of the neuroplasticity of your brain. Anytime you have stimulus over time, your brain desensitizes that stimulus. So if you smell something and you smell it all the time, you can't smell it anymore. It goes away. So that's your brain adapting to things. So that's exactly what they do is they determine the frequency, or in my case, frequencies. I have several different tones of tinnitus in my ears, and they will simply play that to you continually over time, which desensitizes not your ears, but your brain's interpretation of that sound, of those frequencies. And in turn, that when you're not playing that, the tinnitus is it's not decreased, but your sensation of it is decreased. Yeah.
See, I mean, I get temporary tinnitus, and I feel that it could be related to other health issues, and then it comes for a couple of minutes and then it goes away. And I think most people do experience the ringing in the ear. I'm not talking about going to a nightclub and you get the ringing in the ear the next morning. I'm talking about just in general life, you would have some sort of ringing in the ear, and you'll feel the numbness and the ringing sound, and then it will eventually go away. And I think that's kind of something that you should always bring up with your doctor if you do get that, because it could be a warning sign that might be happening for you. Now,
particularly if it lasts for a day or more, it can be actually circulation or blood clots. So it's definitely something you need to see a doctor for.
Yeah. So that was the thing I was going to say. It could actually be like to do with cardiovascular issues. Now, quickly before we go to you, Ken, I just wanted to mention that Grace, who's one of our regulars in the channel, she was really disappointed that she couldn't be watching the show live, but she did mention to me that she works as an audio engineer in the industry, and she wanted to make a couple of points for tips, and this is more for you guys to disagree or agree with. She's saying if you can afford it, invest in some good quality molded in-ear monitors These can be provide around 26 decibels of isolation from the sonic environment that you're in. In theory, this means that you can run the volume of these at lower level than you would be experiencing with stage monitors. However, two caveats with the in-ear monitors. A, do not succumb to temptation of popping one out and just using the earpiece. And B, be aware that turning them up too much creeps a thing that you're just losing the benefits of the isolation. So that was one of the points she made. And the other thing she was saying is that she's met and worked with all sorts of characters who have hearing loss or damage across a wide range of ages. And from hearing that, this kind of thing, her experience with these characters in her own position doesn't mean that you should stop music like what she's saying. It's kind of like an encouragement thing. So if you are experiencing hearing loss and you're finding yourself producing less music because you're in denial of it or whatever it is, don't let that discourage you. It's kind of like a motivation thing. Do what like Scott and Ken and Henrik are saying, and get yourself looked at. There's technology now. It's pretty good technology these days that you'll be able to get yourself feeling confident again about your mix. And I think that was a really good point that Grace mentioned there.
100%. She did
And
mention
don't see it as a degradation.
Say that again.
I don't see it as a degradation. It's an improvement. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So it is. Yeah. It's. She did mention the molded ear, and I should have actually brought mine to show. I have a set of those as well, and yes, they squirt the silicone into your ears, and it forms and fits. So it's a perfect fit, and it's a perfect seal. It is far better than any other foam or expanding earplug. But more importantly, you can wear them for hours. I have a set to wear on my motorcycle like that were actually molded to my ear canal. They provide the by far the best attenuation, and I've worn them for 20 hours, and they're comfortable. So unlike foam earplugs, they get sore after a while. The molded ones fit so perfectly that you don't get sore. So
yeah.
Definitely, if you're doing this professionally, you need a set of those.
Absolutely. Good point. Now, Ken, do you have something on your screen for a reason? What's this on your screen here?
Yeah, so I wanted to bring this up because this is something I've been excited about for a good long while, and I follow it fairly closely. This is FX322, which is a drug that is in trials right now. So it's an injection into your ear, and it's designed to bring back the ear hairs that, allow us to hear. And this article is really it's pretty nice because it's not overstating things. They actually play things down quite a bit. Basically, they've done a few human trials now, and the results have been promising. In this article here, they talk about a 10 decibel improvement at 8K, which 8K is pretty important. They say in here that it's a negligible gain. However, 10 dB at 8K for someone just losing hearing is, that's still pretty significant. And especially if it starts growing back in like the 35 and 4K range as well as higher than 8K. It's a big deal. And this is a drug that they've been working on for a while. And like I said, like they've done animal trials, and they've done I think two full studies of human trials, and it seems like they're on the right path. As this gets refined and whatnot, we may see, eventually a day where tinnitus and hearing loss can be cured by this, which would be amazing. Obviously I think that that's down the road a good ways, but it's nice to see that they're making really good inroads towards repairing hearing loss. And especially if you read the articles, you can just Google it and you'll find it. Again, it's FX322. And yeah, just I'm excited about that. I know it's not something that is going to happen right now, but in 10 years time,
maybe even sooner.
In truth, one of my biggest fears is one, going blind, and two, losing my hearing, just because like these are things that bring me a lot of joy in my life, you know? So
Yeah.
I look at like, okay, well, if I live to 68 and beyond, like, you know, what's going to be out there to improve quality of life, you know? And these are the kinds of things that by the time we get there, hopefully that stuff will be there to improve that. You know, it's pretty interesting.
I think
just saw a
the
comment.
problem with me is I think I actually suffer from selective hearing.
I just saw a comment in the chat that is important to mention. In leading from Ken's statement about the cilia. You have the cilia in your semicircular canals, and you have the cilia that actually interpret the vibrations and change it to nerve impulses. And what happens is those cilia break, and once they break, they don't grow back, and that's why you lose a hearing permanently. Our ears actually have a defense system built into them in muscles inside. So when you encounter a loud environment, those muscles actually tense up to protect and immobilize those hairs to protect them from breaking. And that's why when you come out of something loud, that's why your hearing is suppressed, because those muscles are tensed up, restricting and protecting the cilia.
Yep.
But those muscles can only stay tensed up for so long, and after a while they just get tired and they let up, and that's when you can get damage occurring, because that natural protection against loud noise is there. So it's really important that when you're doing something in a loud environment, that you give your ears a rest from time to time to let those muscles regenerate, and so that you can because otherwise you are exposing yourself to the loud noise without your natural inbuilt protection.
Yeah, they say usually it's about an hour that you should be walking out and just giving 10-15 minutes breather from the constant noise. So you should be doing it every hour. Henrik.
Yeah, I've written a few things down, but a thing we haven't talked about is a curable thing. It's about pressure. If you are hearing something, for example, some music fading out, let's say it's a tone at 1K, then when it fades out, it changes frequency. That's something happening in your inner ear, which you can get a drug for, and within a month it's cured, and then it can return again a year or two after. I have that problem sometimes. So if you discover when hearing music and it fades out and it changes frequency, go to your ear doctor.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
I was going to say
another thing.
Jim, who's in the chat, just said drink, as in alcohol, and drugs can diminish the protection as well.
Anything that causes muscle relaxation. So muscle relaxants, alcohol. So because it is a muscle that's tensing
all the
up,
stuff
so
you want to do at a concert.
Yeah,
exactly.
You're literally putting yourself in harm's way. Yeah. Okay.
Having a good time ruins your hearing.
So, Henrik, you want to say something else?
Yeah, another thing. Using in-ears or hearing aids or headphones, closed headphones, especially, causes sweat and dirt to build up in your ear.
Yeah, you got to clean them.
So it's also important. Yeah, it's important to get them cleaned, and you shouldn't do it yourself. You shouldn't put anything into your ear which is smaller. No, yes, you shouldn't. It's a saying here.
Smaller than your finger. Yeah,
you shouldn't put anything. No, smaller than your elbow.
Oh, the elbow. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I think I've heard that one.
I just saw in the chat, Synth Addict says you can actually mimic the muscle effect if you squinch up your face, or if you know how to do what's called a Valsalva effect.
Yeah, the Valsalva.
You can clear your eustachian tubes. You can hear it, and it decreases your hearing because you're tensing those muscles up.
You can also do the thing where you hold your nose as well, and you as if you're in an airplane.
Throughout the day. What I notice is it'll build up throughout the day.
Talking about the frequency, Ryan? Are we talking about the frequency with the swallowing?
No, just to sort of numb, just to numb the loudness.
It immobilizes those cilia by tensing up the muscles. if you do it's called a Valsalva technique, and it's some people, I can do it. You just have muscles inside where you can actually clear your eustachian tubes. Some people can't do that. They'll have to like hold their nose and blow. But it uses those same muscles, and when you do it, you can actually hear rumbling in your ears when you actually move those muscles. I can't demonstrate it because you can't actually see it. But
technique.
I do it all the time. Like, it's just a natural thing. But one thing that I notice is just throughout the day while working, you are supposed to take breaks, and a lot of the times I run right through those breaks. And what I'll notice is I'll start feeling like a crunching sound in my ears. It's like it's that pressure. It's your ears are getting tired, like physically tired, and you'll hear like a trembling or a crunching. And when you hear like a louder noise, it's like a crunching as that louder noise fades away, and that drives me nuts. And then anytime I hear it, I'm like, that's it. I need to take a break. That's my body telling me, dude, like, chill out, man. It's not that serious. Go do something else for a minute. Go read a book. Go read a comic.
I tell you what, that reminds me too. When you're wearing headphones and you're wearing glasses, do you guys ever get the pain around the back of your ear because it pushes on the back of your, the back of your glasses where they hook on behind your ear? That can get excruciating sometimes, that pain. So like you guys are saying, like, take breaks, clean your ears, all that sort of stuff. But like, it also, if you wear glasses and your headphones, like I'm finding now that I'm actually getting, kind of just a little bit uncomfortable wearing this. So, but speaking of which, it's 12 past midnight here where I live, and the show has been going for 3 hours and 27 minutes. You guys have been amazing. We can talk about this hearing stuff for ages. It's so interesting, and I think there's a lot of interesting comments coming through in the chat. We've got Bert asking, is there any good hearing test software out there that you can perform yourself? So that's a good one to ask, Days. Or can you trust these results? Are they not calibrated, for example? And then QRDNK says, divers do a lot of the clearing of the ear after coming out of the water, sometimes to help, similar to what with the aeroplanes and stuff like that.
At different depths.
Yeah. So we'll do the software one. Do you guys know of any hearing test software that you could do just as a sort of a guesstimate, a shits and giggles one that you wouldn't take seriously?
There are apps on your phone and all these things that you can do it, but the real problem with it is it's dependent on whatever's producing the sound. Your headphones, obviously, when you go to an audiologist, they're using calibrated headphones to actually perform the test, where you're at the mercy of whatever the curve is that you're listening. So if you're listening to your crappy Dre Beats headphones, it's going to say, oh, you've got no problem in the bass because it's emphasizing bass. So
good point.
Unless you have something that's extremely flat and even calibrated flat, it's not going to be a real
good point.
Accurate.
All right. Now, what I want to do before we do anything else is I want to plug all of you guys because you're awesome. So firstly is, hang on a second, I've just got to get these maximized, is Scott's YouTube channel, which I will link in the chat just in a sec. It's also going to be in the description of the video once that happens. I don't know why is that coming up like that. So yeah, check out his, definitely go onto his YouTube channel and hit that big fat subscribe button on the right hand side and watch some of his awesome videos in there. He's done some really cool stuff with Hydrosynth and the Cobalt, as he mentioned before.
The next one coming up is the Hydrosynth Deluxe.
Ooh, nice, exciting. What else we got? And I should also, I very rarely do this, and Ken, you should like slap me for this, but mate, your website.
Nope, not slapping anybody.
Your website. Go to Ken's website, fluxwithit.com. He has got like years of work in this thing. Like, I'm serious. Like, he started YouTube.
I will be honest and say that it's very haphazardly updated. Like, I'm very lazy. I just don't.
But there's links to things, right? There's links. There's links to your YouTube channel. Yeah. There's plugins. There's sound design stuff. That's the thing. And like I said, you've been doing this for years. So you guys need to give you some love, you definitely need to at least buy a sample pack or something from Ken. Make him some money. It'll be good.
Yeah, I got some new sample packs coming soon. So
yeah, and Henrik's the other one. I think we'll just do the Bandcamp for you, Henrik. I think that's a good one to do. I always forget where it's gone.
I also have one thing to add. It's about each day I work in a soundproof room, not this room, and because there's no resonances there, it's very difficult to hear what people say, and I kind of think a room shouldn't be soundproof. Not for music either. You have to hear some of those
some reflections
to make it right.
Yeah, some reflections.
Yeah.
Keep talking. This is your Bandcamp channel. It's JX3D. If you're wondering what Henrik calls himself, it's JX3D. And I am a person of definite a fan of his music. It's really, really cool. So definitely go check that out if you haven't done that, because I'm sure Henrik would appreciate it as well. If you haven't. There we go.
And I will release a new album in about 2 months. Right now I'm working on a new library for European Sound Collective, which we will release within a month. And when done with that, I will mix down the new album.
Yep, definitely.
So that's a few.
All right. Well, we didn't get a chance to do Name That Synth, and we didn't get a chance to do Price Watch, but that's okay. I think this topic was more important. So we'll follow that up next week with that. But anyway, thanks for everyone for being part of the show. Thank you, Henrik, for suggesting the topic and getting all these gentlemen together. Thank you, Scott. Nice to meet you, and it's awesome. We'd have to definitely have you come back. That's a definite, because you look at the synth man. He loves all these synths. We've got to have him back. And Ken, as you know, you're always welcome here, mate.
Sorry for being late.
That's okay. You were sleeping. All right. And on that huge note of amazingness, thank you to the chatties. You guys are awesome. Thank you very much for all your fantastic questions and being part of the channel. It's really good to have all of you here. We're going to say goodbye and farewell and see you next week. And actually, no, there's no show next week, so you won't see me next week. It's my daughter's birthday, so I'm having a Saturday off because otherwise she'll kill me. But thank you anyway. We'll see you the following week. Say bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Off the air.